Hey, everybody. This is Keith, and you're about to listen to the podcast. But first, I wanted to let everybody know two things. First thing is that we recorded this on Tuesday night, 2 days before the Video Game Awards, so we don't talk about those because they had not happened yet. And the other thing is that later on in the show, we talk about the video game army, whatever, and we go through it really quickly. And neither Kyle didn't read the piece, but I did. I neglected to mention that the piece did not seem very critical of this thing. And I just wanted to. We obviously, were making fun of it for being stupid and how the army is bad. But I just wanted to make sure that people didn't come away from it thinking that that Kotaku piece was any good, because it wasn't. Okay, that's cool. Bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Run Button Podcast. I'm your host, Keith J. Carberry. With me today is Kyle T. Churchill. How's it going, Kyle?
Oh, wow. You really want the answer to that question?
I want you to do the podcast-appropriate version of the answer to that question.
One of these days, people are going to learn to stop asking me that question.
Yeah, well, most people just lie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Let's try it.
Yeah, let's try it again. Hey, Kyle, how's it going? Oh, do the whole intro?
Yeah.
I'll do the whole intro.
No, I was thinking just the question.
Okay. Hey, Kyle, how's it going?
There
you go. That's all you need.
Yeah. Sugar-coated it for you.
Yeah, sugar-coated. Lots of sugar. Really decadent sugar coating on that. I've got a what I can only assume is pronounced a poke bowl, which I've never had before. Let's see. Okay, something's going on. Can the people in the chat hear the video? Oh, it's working now. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, so Kyle.
Yes.
How has your week been in media terms only?
Well, 2 weeks ago, I think it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, I bought a PlayStation VR.
PSVR.
PSVR.
PS
letters.
Virtual Reality. Uh-huh.
That's what, Postscript? Post-Secret. I don't want to see Post-Secret in VR. That
Pop
seems like
Secret Virtual Reality.
Ooh, that would be great.
Yeah, popcorn in VR. Let's do that. It's where VR is at the point where you don't really have to know how to do anything. You just have to have the money to pay someone else to do your weird idea. Pop Secret Virtual Reality. What if we had a whole VR series where you were baked into your favorite snacks? Right?
Wait, what do you mean? Like you're inside a Cheeto?
Yeah, you're inside a Cheeto, or you're inside a bowl of popcorn as it's popping.
Dude, oh shit.
Or you're stuffed into a Pop-Tart or something. Yeah, you know?
Yeah, it's like Unwrapped, like the show where it shows you the production process of different foods and candies.
But you're an ingredient.
You're the thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude,
This is big.
Oh, yeah, we got to find someone to pay to do
I need an angel
idea
investor.
for us.
I needed some startup. I need to open up a startup flow. I need to do first round investments.
That sounds so
And
good.
then I need someone who can do the thing that I want. I need someone to perform the action of making the...
That sounds wonderful.
What would your favorite episode be?
Oh, of VR snack bake.
Yeah, VR snack bake. We'll come up. This is a working title. VR snack bake. Working title. Specifically, that working title is not working for me, but that's fine.
It's a not working title.
Do you want to be like a piece of cucumber in a sushi roll?
What? No. What?
I am just spitballing. No bad ideas.
That doesn't even work for your premise because Well, okay. If I was
If you were a piece of cucumber and you get rolled up into the thing and you're next to some spicy tuna.
I've never had sushi, so I don't know.
Really, never?
No.
Is that the way that everyone says that when you say you haven't had sushi?
I mean, I don't feel like it's come up that many times, but I guess there's some reaction like that. I mean, I don't know. Not like sushi's the most popular food ever. At least not here.
It's a little bit like that. It's a little bit like sushi's the most popular food ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I was,
Yeah.
I'm not a...
You're not really
like
a taste guy.
The three main ingredients of sushi, right? It's like raw fish,
Yeah.
rice cooked in vinegar,
Yeah.
and seaweed.
Yeah.
None of those sound good to me.
They are all good though.
People seem to like it. So
this is
I
this
guess
is
who
too
am I to say?
complicated of a food to eat right now, I think.
Too complicated to eat right now?
Oh, I'm sorry. Earlier before we got on this, I said that I got a food that I had never had before, what I can only assume is pronounced a poke bowl, which is sort of like sushi.
Yeah. Wait, are you trying to eat during a podcast?
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm just
Keith.
trying to eat a little bit during a podcast, but this is too
Keith, I'm not
complicated to
even-
eat right now, is what I'm saying. So I've
Okay,
decided
but
against it because
listen.
it's too complicated to eat right now.
Keith, I'm not mad. I just want you to consider how you would feel if I was trying to eat during this podcast.
Depends how loud the thing is.
I don't think you would care.
If
I think
it was
if
so
we-
quiet,
if we
hey,
got to
well,
the-
ask yourself
if we
this:
got to the
did you
end
know
of this
that I had been
podcast-
eating? Did you know that I had
No.
been eating? Well, there you go.
No.
If I didn't know that you were eating, then I couldn't have been mad at you for eating.
That's
you
not
only knew
true.
because
I
I
think
confessed.
If we got to the end of this podcast and I said, by the way, I've been eating this whole time, you would have been like, fucking goddamn it.
I would not have been. The only thing that you could have done to make me react like that is play a video game while we're recording.
Anyways, to answer your original question, I guess I would like to be baked into a Take 5 candy bar.
Which one of the 5 would you be?
Um,
Because the Take
Well-
5, that's the one with 5 different segments, right?
5 different segments.
And
you know
so-
what? I'm changing my answer. I want to be the nougat inside of either a Baby Ruth or a Payday.
Oh, being inside of a Payday would be incredible. Just covered in peanuts. Just 100% covered in peanuts.
Uh-huh.
What a good feeling that must be. And here's the good thing. This is an easy one to have a spin-off show where we actually do bake real people into actual food. That would be a really easy one, a cheap one to do, because we can coat you in nougat and roll you in peanuts.
That actually sounds really expensive.
Yeah, but it's a TV show, so we have the budget.
My let me turn up my microphone. It looks very low on the thing.
Okay,
Or maybe,
that's fine.
You know what?
Now you sound a
I
little
just think-
blown out to me.
Well, I didn't do anything.
Okay, it's probably
I
just Discord.
I expanded the waveform. I had it scrunched down, and I was like,
Oh.
"Oh, you know what? I should make it bigger." And you know what? Yeah, it's bigger now.
Oh yeah, I had you at 180% on Discord, so I turned you down. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we can circle back around to the VR thing. I wish I wasn't feeling so terrible right now because I fucking really like it a lot. I'm like super jazzed about it.
Sorry about the sushi.
No, about PSVR.
Oh, about PSVR. Okay, you like it.
Yeah, it's great.
What do you like about it?
It's white. It's
Okay,
got
that's
lights
a
on
weird
it.
thing to. That's Listen,
it's white.
and today,
it's got lights
Kyle-
on it. It covers your eyes. It's got a cable on it.
okay. Why are these the
Um,
things that you like? See, I feel like you're describing a bunch of stuff that to me is superfluous. Like,
No, these are all core elements to the PlayStation VR.
no, I didn't say
experience.
what is it like. I said why do you like it?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like these
you
are
like
all
it
really important
because
things
of the
about it.
cable.
Yeah, and the cable plugs into a little box. The box sits on top of the PlayStation, or you can put it next to it. You can put it however you want to arrange it, but it does have to be connected to the PlayStation with a USB cable. So it has to be close. Or you could get your own cable that's extra long. You get one of those long cables, and then you could probably put it anywhere.
And you like that?
Yeah. It's really good.
What don't you like about it?
What don't I like about it? You know what? I was gonna come on here. I feel like such a idiot. Sorry, I'm taking off my jacket. Ow!
During a podcast?
Can you believe it? I was gonna come in here and say I really love PlayStation VR. The only problem is it's really blurry. Everything's blurry all the time. Cause Did
you have a focus knob that you didn't use?
No, it was So I've had those headsets where you like put the phone inside of it and then you use phone VR. And in my experiments with that, I found that wearing specifically my glasses, did not help the image quality at all or even hurt it.
Mm-hmm.
So with the PSVR, I didn't even bother with my glasses. I was like, I know these are stupid.
Glasses, whoever even.
Yeah, why would you even wear that? And then last night I tried it with my glasses on and I was like, oh, fucking goddamn it. I've been playing blurry VR for 2 weeks and I just needed to put my glasses on and it looks way better.
So why do you think that it works different with that?
I have no idea.
Okay, moving on.
I couldn't possibly tell you.
What games have you been playing with it?
So I got the $200 bundle.
Yeah.
On holiday. I don't know if it was like a Black Friday thing or if that's just like their holiday pricing, but it's like $200 and it came with the headset and the camera and Astrobot and Moss.
You know what I like about Astrobot?
What do you like about Astrobot?
Wait, hold on. I need to step out of this for a second. Is this a disc game or did it come with a download copy?
Moss was a download, but Astrobot was a disc copy.
Okay. You know what I like about Astrobot?
What?
There's a plastic case, and it's on a disc.
That's fucking, dude. It's so nice.
Yeah.
Because
you can like stack all the plastic cases on top of your PSVR or next to it. Or you could put them all in a bin or something, and I like that.
Yeah, you can put them even on a shelf,
Mm-hmm.
And then when people come over, you can show them how many plastic boxes that say the names of video games on them that you have.
Yeah.
And then they're like really impressed with you.
Yeah. Wow, you did spend a lot of money.
Yeah, if it's a person that you want to make sex with, they'll do it with
invent.
you.
You mean make like invent?
Maybe
Okay,
invent
so
children.
Tell me about what's Moss.
Moss is so. It strikes me that like Astrobot and Moss are like the Mario and Zelda of PSVR. So like Astrobot is
big
sort of
statements.
I mean, I'm not trying to like put them on that level, though they are both really good. But it's like Astrobot is like the like straightforward. Well, not whatever. It's like a platformer that's like fun and candy colored, and then like Moss is you got a sword and you're going around like ancient ruins and solving puzzles. But you're a mouse, or you're not a mouse. So it's
no,
both
you're
of these
a guy.
games,
I'm a guy.
You're a reader.
Human. I'm a human guy.
I don't know. Are you?
Yeah.
In Moss.
Oh, I've seen this little mouse guy.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It takes this like
he's got a little
perspective.
leaf as a blade.
Yeah, it's dope.
You got a little leaf. Oh.
The mouse is named Quill.
Oh, it's a blade of grass. Got it.
She's adorable. Actually, when she starts the game out, she doesn't have the leaf blade power yet. So she just has a regular sword, and I thought that looked way cooler. It felt like a little bit of a downgrade when I got the grass sword.
It sounds like you're wrong, but go on.
That's fine. Whatever.
I've seen real swords a billion times, but I've never seen a mouse using a blade of grass as a blade.
I know, but a mouse with a sword, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I've read books about that.
Well, I haven't.
You didn't read those?
No, I didn't read those.
You didn't read Redwall and all those?
Mm-mm.
Oh, how come?
Yeah, I don't know, because I guess mice with swords. I mean,
Didn't appeal to you until you were 28.
yeah, basically. Well, I love that. I have to imagine that they chose to make the game about a mouse because, from the perspective that you're playing at, it's sort of like a diorama style game where you're kind of like above everything and looking down on it a little bit, or at least from like an isometric perspective, and it makes everything look super tiny. And so they just, I guess, solved it by like you're a mouse, so it makes sense. You're supposed to be tiny.
Oh, so it's in the game you're a camera. That's your character. In the game you play a camera looking down on this mouse.
Yeah, so it's a storybook. So it starts with you, I guess, as yourself, and you're sitting in like a weird cathedral, with like a big book in front of you and like candles. And Quill's story is a story that you're reading in this book, I guess. I don't know if it's a magical book. They don't really explain it.
So it's either a book or a magical book.
It could be a book, could be a magical book. Maybe you're the magical one. I don't know how it works.
No, you're the camera.
But then, it goes inside the book, and like in the story, you're like, you can only see yourself in reflections. Like if you look into water, you can see yourself. You kind of look like that thing that dies at the beginning of Ori and the Blind Forest. It's like a big black something or other with like a white circle face.
I think that guy's
exactly
blue,
like
but I know who you mean.
Oh, okay. But yeah, you're basically that, and so Quill becomes your buddy. So
who's Quill? Quill is the mouse.
Yeah. Wait. Oh. Wait. Moss. Mouse.
Moss. Quill is the moss. Hi, I'm a moss.
I mean, that's the closest reason I can come up with for why the game's called Moss.
There's a lot of moss in it, right?
I mean, you're in places where moss could be.
I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at the screen cap for the review from digitaltrends.com, a website that I don't know, and they have a link to the game on the PlayStation Store in the review, which is not usual.
Cool.
And a bunch of their pictures, and all of the pictures on the outside have moss. I'm seeing moss on top of roofs. I'm seeing moss on top of rocks.
Oh, boy.
I'm seeing moss on this log. There's just moss all over the place. Game.
Geez, Keith, I guess you don't even need me here because you're a fucking expert about moss now.
And then there's a little moss carrying a leaf blade, which is also a Pokemon move, and quite a good one.
Leaf blade.
Leaf blade.
Razor leaf. Is leaf blade another one?
Leaf blade is a physical attack that I believe has 90 power and 100 accuracy.
Okay.
That's all that you need. And then it's a leaf blade.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so I mean, not that much more to say about
15 PP,
Moss,
Kyle. So signature move of Grovyle and Sceptile. Are you following me?
I mean, I don't know those Pokemon, so no, I'm not.
They're the Gen 4 starters.
Oh. What's the start? What's the first form?
Trico.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, you know Trico. I never played as Trico, so my Leafeon is the only thing that ever learned Leaf Blade for me.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's true. Anyway, so you play as a Pokemon in Moss.
Yeah, you're a little mouse. Your controller controls Quill directly. Your standard ass kind of controls. But then the game also tracks the position of the controller. So as the reader, you can reach out and interact with certain elements within the game world, like really specific ones. So, like maybe there's a platform that you can grab and raise up so that, Quill can jump on it and move along to another platform, that kind of thing. And, it's a fun game with great puzzles, and it's not too hard. And it's like 4 hours long, which you know what?
Good length.
Fucking perfect for me. I don't need a game to be much longer than that. To be
Yeah,
honest.
I've had such a bad time with a long game last month, and I'm so sick of putting a lot of time in a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to say anything about Robot Blade? What was it?
Astrobot?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have that much to say about it. It's just it's
It's
cute
just sick,
and
right?
charming,
It's
and
fucking
it's fucking super dope. It's real good. I bought it because everyone said it was good, and they were right. It's
Yeah.
really good.
Um,
I played Super Hot VR. That's dope as shit.
yeah, whatever.
That's fucking awesome. You don't want to play Super Hot VR?
No, I don't know. I think Super Hot is cool. I don't know. It's got like this sort of
I'm way more positive about Super Hot VR than I am about regular Super Hot.
okay. I just feel like Super Hot as like a game has a similar ethos to Hotline Miami, which is a
Okay.
game that I find super irritating. And they and I like Super Hot more, both as a game to play and also it's not as irritating, but I just like can't get over the similarities between the two.
That's interesting. I never would have really drawn a connection between those two, but I kind of get what you're talking about.
Yeah, like it's got the sort of Hotline Miami thing of like, isn't it fucked up that you're playing this game thing? You know what I mean? Like it's like
yeah, I guess
it's
There's
like a
actually-
criticism of the game that's just like but in order to criticize it, they're just making you do it. And then when Hotline Miami had like a sequel where it was just like more of the same kind of game, and it's like, what were you really trying to say anyway? If the only kind of game you're interested in making is the game that you're saying you shouldn't be playing, I don't know. It just very irritating to me.
Yeah, you can check out our Game of the Year podcast from whatever year Super Hot came out to hear Keith and I argue at length about the about the politics of Super Hot or whatever.
Yeah, and I just feel like Super Hot has like a similar. But I did play a lot more of it than I played.
Yeah.
Hotline Miami, and I did enjoy it mostly. And it's
I'll
got
say-
spoilers for Super Hot. It's got like the thing where like it's like, oh, you can't stop playing because the company. Which, you know, I like that. I like when an evil company is forcing people to do stuff.
Super Hot VR though is I mean it's the same sort of idea. Like I hesitate to say it's a different story because not really. There's just not that much story at all. So it doesn't really have any of that stuff in Super Hot VR.
Oh, really? What? It's just the game? It's just like sorry, that's not fair because the story is part of the game. But like it's just the shooting and moving?
Like in between chapters, you'll go back to a room that's like your room, and it's got like, you know, a bunch of retro looking computers piled up all over the place, and like each time like a new floppy disk appears and you put it into the computer and that like loads up the next chapter. And I think like the final one is like the floppy disk, like the screen, one of the computer screens ends up looking like a cat's eye, and like the floppy disk like slides out of the eye through the screen and you have to like grab it. So it's still got that like weird, creepy, like you're being controlled by the program kind of thing, but there's not as much, like there's not really any more context.
There's not
to
like
it
the
than
in
that.
between the missions like chat log stuff.
No, there's none of that stuff.
That's so weird that they would not have that.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't
know. Super Hot VR it's a shorter game. It's another one that's only a few hours long. That's probably the case across almost all of these VR games. But it's just so much fun to actually be inside Super Hot when you can, like, when you're grabbing the gun out of the air, you're actually reaching up with your hand and grabbing it, and then you get to, you know, point it at the enemies and duck behind cover, and it's just like super fun.
You know, Kyle, you're not actually doing that stuff.
What?
Yeah, you know, you're not
No, I
actually
am.
doing it. You're just sitting there. Or
It
standing
is
there.
it is really weird to think about how, like, I'm playing like PSVR for like hours at a time by myself in my room, and I'm like going through all these places and doing all these things, but like actually if anyone saw me, I'm just sitting by myself in a completely dark room, just like moving my body around and not saying anything. Like I played a bunch of Headmaster. Do you know about that game?
No.
It is a game about you're a player on a soccer team, and they, because of your poor performance, specifically with ball heading, they send you to some kind of strange like prison/boot camp for getting better at soccer heading. So it's all just about the game shoots soccer balls at your head, and you have to head them into different targets. And so I'm just like imagining like I just spent the last 3 hours in a completely dark room with a thing strapped to my face, just like smashing my head forward over and over again.
Do you what's the movement? Does that not like hurt with the mask on?
It's surprisingly
Goggles? What is it? What do you call that?
Headset?
Headset? I don't know. I feel like a headset's
surprisingly
for your
light.
ears.
My ears?
Yeah, like a headset is like for your ears.
I mean, that's just what they call it, my dude.
It's a VR
Headphones
headset.
are for your ears.
No, like a headset. A headset is headphones with a microphone.
Yeah, sure.
Right? I don't know. Goggles. I'm calling them goggles. Mask.
I mean, you can. Okay, sure. I mean, you do whatever you want. I'm just going by what they call it. But I found it to be it's kind of surprisingly well built. It's like a really well designed thing, and it's pretty light, and it doesn't move around on your head too much, even when you're throwing your head around playing dumbass games like Headmaster. So it's all pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still like the only real negatives I would give to the PSVR so far is like definitely like all VR, like low resolution screen, you get that screen door effect going on. It's kind of blurry around your peripheral vision.
I don't know if they all have. Don't the Oculus and the Vive? Don't they have like pretty high resolution screens? I remember I have used both of those and remember one of them having better resolution, but at least one of them not having that effect, if not both.
They definitely both have a higher resolution screen than the PSVR.
Okay.
But I think all VR in general is like lower res. Like you're not like, even though it's a super high resolution screen, but it's so close to your face. Yeah. And Beat Saber is dope as hell. That's the rhythm game where you're holding lightsabers and you have to cut blocks in time to the music.
That sounds sick.
It's fucking sick. Like the first time I played it, I was almost like in a panic. Like, who do I tell about this? This is so good. Someone needs to know how great this is.
Yeah, I mean, like lightsaber in VR is a top thing for me. That's got like having a thing that like, as far as your brain is concerned, looks like you're holding a lightsaber.
Yeah, like, and it's lightsaber is the perfect thing for VR, because if it's like a regular like steel sword, it's gonna feel weird because it's weightless. But lightsabers are supposed to be weightless, man.
Supposed to be weightless. It's just, it's a beam. It's an energy beam. It's actually impossible for it to contain itself like that. It would just go on forever.
Well, it's possible in Star Wars.
You're right. Well, it was
they have more advanced technology, and it's a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah,
which
we don't even know what kind of energy they have.
I mean, it does imply that it's the same universe, which would suggest the same laws of physics. But I mean, who knows? It was a long time ago, a long time ago.
Well, it implies the same physics, but we have no idea what those, the properties of those crystals. We have no idea.
Yeah, the
Kyber crystals? What's the new canon? Kyber crystals?
Is that
it's whatever it is? It's worse than the original canon.
No, what's the original one?
They were I think they were mostly called focusing crystals or just lightsaber crystals.
No, they had some.
Okay,
name.
so lightsaber crystal. I'm on Wikipedia. Legends. Yeah, a lightsaber crystal was one of a variety of crystals, gemstones, and other objects used to focus a lightsaber. That's all that it says. Well, there's a whole thing, but it's just called like a focusing crystal. But then the canon is the Kyber crystal, which is a stupid living crystal that people prayed around enough that now it has the Force in it or some dumb bullshit. I say it every time. I just want to make sure everybody knows. I don't give a shit that they made all the canon stuff not canon. It still exists, and I still like it. The only thing that I don't like is when they replace it with something much stupider and dumber than Star Wars already kind of is.
Okay, I have a question. I got a quick question, and then I have a quick comment, and then I think we should move on and not get bogged down in 80 minutes of Star Wars discussion.
Okay, here we go.
60
minutes only, tops.
This Kyber crystal thing, this new thing you're talking about, where did this come from? Because I haven't heard of this.
It started in Rogue One, and then it was really dumb, and so then they had to sort of redo it a little bit for The Force, The Last Jedi. And then, the Last Jedi sort of expanded on Rogue One's real stupid Jedi origin shit. You don't remember any of that? It was in the movie. No. It was right there. Do you remember the guy, like the monks from that planet?
Yeah. In Rogue One.
Yeah, in Rogue One, and they were basically they were talking about how like the Jedi evolved from these monks that hung around these crystals and sort of developed the Force from being around the crystals, and so that's why there's a temple there, is because the crystals were like the sacred beginning of the Force crystals.
Oh, right, okay.
And then I can't remember what The Last Jedi did, but The Last Jedi sort of like changed it a little bit to where there was some other thing that was also the origin of the Jedi. But it was all dumb and worse than the original thing, which is that a bunch of people on this planet studied some shit, and then they figured out the Force after studying it, and then there was a giant civil war because immediately half of them wanted to use it for evil, which I think is better. And then there was whatever. Star Wars is always dumb, but the newer thing is dumber.
You want my take on this?
Yeah.
I think this is bullshit, and here's why. You shouldn't say that lightsabers have some fucking Force shit in them, and that like Jedis use lightsabers because somehow there's a connection between Jedi powers and lightsabers or whatever. The whole fucking point of a lightsaber is that it's an outmoded technology that makes no sense, and it only works because Jedis have their power. Like, the only reason it works to bring a lightsaber to a laser gun fight is if you can deflect laser bolts with the lightsaber. And you can only do that if you have the insane reflexes of a Jedi. It's like if you brought a samurai sword to a gunfight and then you were deflecting bullets with the sword. No one could actually do that unless you were a Jedi. Right. That's the point of a lightsaber.
And also, it does a thing where it centralizes Jedi as the proprietors of the Force, and which is not true. There's plenty of Force users and Force-sensitive people that intentionally use the Force that have nothing to do with Jedi. And then the idea that Jedi and lightsabers sort of emerged simultaneously is a bizarre thing to assert. Like, it's very weird. And Ice Cream Jones in the chat linked the Kyber, not Cyber, but Kiaburr crystal from the Legacy, the original canon.
Okay,
that's a different thing. Totally different thing.
All right.
It is a crystal, single crystal that increases a Force-sensitive person's power and happens to also work as a lightsaber crystal. Different thing.
Okay, because I was gonna say is like I've definitely heard of Kyber crystals before. So it struck me as odd that it would be a brand new thing.
It's a different thing.
Anyways, Keith, you didn't see my the video clips that I tweeted of PSVR Worlds, did you?
PSVR Worlds, no.
No. Let me pull one up real quick. Mm-mm-mm. Where? Huh? That's weird. One of them disappeared, Keith.
That's weird.
It's just gone now.
Okay. Well, do you want to talk about it or do you want to move on?
Yeah, it's my last VR thing. I'll talk about it. Just PSVR Worlds is like a tech demo collection that came out with the PSVR 2 years ago. And I had a ton of fun playing this one thing called the London Heist, where it's like this story about you're some kind of English mob or some shit and you steal a diamond, but it gives you like in cutscene hand tracking. So like, you're in a bar like at a table and a guy's supposed to be talking to you about something really serious, but you can like pet his head. You can pet his head, and I like recorded myself like, reacting to things that were happening with my hands. And there's a microphone in the headset, in case you want to like chat with people or whatever. But I realized that this cutscene is happening, but on the table in front of me is a lighter and a cigar, and you can actually pick both of them up, and then you have to suck in air, and the microphone will hear it, and then that's how you like inhale. You can smoke the cigar, and then you can blow the smoke back out. And I think that's $15 well spent.
Yeah, totally. I'd spend $50. And okay, and so $15 well spent for you to pretend to smoke a cigar, right? Imagine the cash we could make baking people into pies.
Oh,
are you kidding me?
And then and maybe as a bonus, after the pie's baked, then they can
eat it.
They can bust right out of it.
Oh, I was going the other way. Instead of busting out of it, you're trapped inside and someone eats it with you in there.
If you get eaten in the game, you get eaten in real life.
And I think we would still make the money.
Yeah.
Okay, Kyle. You play any more Red Dead?
No, I just decided to stop playing that. I was like, I have way too many good games I want to play.
God,
and
not
I'm
a
not
bad
waste my time
idea.
playing this bad one. Yeah, I know, right?
I cannot. I mean, here's the thing. So I decided to play pretty much of that game as possible. I was like, so there was the whole time there was like a percentage of stuff that I liked and a percentage of stuff that I hated, and then a percentage of stuff that I really hated. And then the fact that like Rockstar as a company sucks, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah. Wait, can you take a quick pause? I'm just trying to think of something, and I don't want to not listen to you because I'm too busy in my own head. So just
Okay.
give me 1 second. Oh, I think it was just one more thing about the PSVR.
Oh,
that
okay.
I heard a lot of people say that the tracking is bad, and I haven't experienced that.
Okay.
Oh, just that like a lot of people. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's that phenomenon where like you buy something and then you feel like everyone has it. But I feel like now that PSVR has been out for like 2 years and it actually has an amount of games and the prices come down, like everyone's buying them. Like I think there was like an episode of the Beastcast where like all 3 of the people on the podcast had like individually all bought one in the past week or something.
Wow.
And the same thing, like I was recording a podcast with Jordan and he was like, yeah, we could record more, but I have to leave and get my PSVR. And I was like, oh, that's hilarious because I was just about to say I don't want to podcast anymore because I need to go back to playing my PSVR. But anyways, go ahead.
I don't have one, but that's fine. I don't really want
definitely
one.
have to. I have to bring it over so we can do Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
And I have not played Resident Evil 7 in VR yet because I'm saving it.
Yeah, you got to save it. So
Sorry, you were talking about
Red Dead
yeah.
Redemption. What a confusing game. I have been so stuck on it and thinking about it so much, too much, way more than could possibly be healthy. But there was this point, sort of at the lowest point.
Thinking about it like when you're not playing it, you find yourself being like, oh, I got to go play it. Or thinking about it pondering it.
Pondering it.
Okay.
Oh, when I'm not playing it, definitely. But not in a way where I'm like, oh, got to go play some Red Dead. More like like, what is this? What am
Mhm.
I playing? Like, I'm playing the game, and like, again, there's parts of it that I like. There's parts of it where, like, and this is gonna sound obvious, but if you stripped out a lot of the stuff that I didn't like, I would love it.
That's a box quote. You can put that.
so-
I will say I am still gonna go back and try to mess around in Red Dead Online a little bit, because I wonder if I'm gonna be more interested in it once
Less.
there's no story and I can just feel like I can do whatever I want.
No, less. I guarantee it.
You're probably right, but I want to
Okay.
check it out.
Well,
Plus,
because
I can be a lady.
that's a big part of what I'm about to talk about, I think.
Okay.
So I guess not a big part, but it's like the latest. It's like the last chapter. But so I was playing through the game, and there's a lot of stuff I really liked at the beginning. Or at least I think I enjoyed it the most, like, but in the first, or like between hours like 10 and 20, you know.
Okay.
And there's a couple like main things about the game. There's like, you play as Arthur Morgan, and so there's your relationship with the gang as a whole, your relationship with Dutch, the leader of the gang, who's like the guy that you're trying to catch in Red Dead 1 as John Marston. And then there's like your gang's relationship to like the changing world.
Okay.
And a lot of that stuff does a pretty okay job, especially for a studio that writes shitty stories and shitty characters, and kind of always has.
Yeah.
And especially as a sequel to Red Dead 1, which at different points I have liked and not liked.
Yeah.
But I like, that was a game that like kind of had the opposite effect as Red Dead 2, which I didn't like at first, and then grew to like as I played it.
Did you listen to the Waypoint 101 of Red Dead 1?
I listened to, there was 2 parts, and I listened to one of them, I think.
Okay.
How come?
Yeah, just they the guys on the Waypoint podcast recently went back and played like I guess if part 2 is out, then I haven't heard it yet. So I also just listened to part 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, they played all of Red Dead 1, and then they're sort of talking about their experiences, and I was actually kind of shocked that they were basically all negative on it. They were like, "Oh, it turns out this game was actually bad."
Yeah,
like,
so
our mistake.
So it's been so long that I can't know for sure how I felt, but I remember there's 2 big things that I remember, right? I remember or I guess 3 things. One of them applies to Rockstar as a whole. Red Dead 2, I think, is officially the first Rockstar game I've ever finished. I did beat the game, and I don't think I've ever beaten a Rockstar game before. I think I always start to hate it and quit. And
I finished 3 GTA 3, Vice City, and 4, and Red Dead Redemption. So I had a pretty good track record, like, up until GTA 5.
So the second thing that I know for sure about Red Dead 1 is that I was about to quit until that like famous Mexico scene, and that scene I liked so much that it got me through the rest of the game pretty much. And I don't remember how much I enjoyed myself from that point to when I quit. But
Yeah.
do you remember, because it's on a Run Button podcast, I think, but do you remember when I quit Red Dead 1?
So I think what happened was you quit Red Dead 1. A little bit of a spoiler for Red Dead 1. It has been a decade, so sorry if you're late to the party.
Yeah.
After the main plot is resolved, you go back to your home.
Nope.
What?
Okay.
Wait, what?
I quit the game like 20-25 minutes before that last mission, before the main plot was resolved. There was a loading screen I had just taken the kid Jack like hunting or something. And
No, that's what I'm saying.
No. This is not that's not the ending though. That like okay, big spoiler for Red Dead 1. John Marston dies. I did not know that until I listened to the Waypoint thing. I didn't know that.
That's what I'm trying to say. The main plot of the story is you're trying to kill Dutch Vanderlyn, and then you do, and then John Marston goes back to his home with his family.
No, I did some of that stuff.
That's where you quit.
No. That is not the end. That's not where it turns into the epilogue. It doesn't turn into the epilogue till John Marston dies. So, but anyway, before the end of the game.
We're talking about two different things.
Yeah, not like doing the anyway. Somewhere between killing Dutch, probably like halfway between killing Dutch and the epilogue, I saw a loading screen that said 77% done, and I'm like, I'm not playing 23% more of this game. Fuck this stupid. Like this, I clearly was not enjoying myself because I just decided to quit right then and I uninstalled it, and it wasn't for a long time that I learned that was my total completion, not my game completion, and I was like one mission away from the last one or two missions away from like the very last thing before the epilogue.
So for me, I don't know if I ever did the very last story thing that you're supposed to do as Jack after he grows up, because I thought, because like it doesn't direct you towards it at all, does it? I don't remember. Maybe I did do it.
I don't know if it. I know now what it is, but
it now. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I say I know now what it is, but I didn't even know that John ends up dying until this year. Until after I had already put in hours and hours into Red Dead 2.
I was so pissed. I actually had that spoiled for me. Like I was right near the end of the game. Like I was probably like 90% of the way through the story or something.
Was it your friend that's always spoiling shit?
No, it was just like some random asshole on a forum just decided to like say it out of nowhere, like John dies at the end, and you know, it was like the person's like avatar was like hardcore porn, like it was exactly that person, right?
Oh yeah, that sucks.
But anyways,
Seti says in the chat, according to Waypoint, it does not direct you to do the thing as Jack.
Okay, yeah. So I have no idea if I ever did that thing.
We can spoil it. I don't mind. It's been super long. These Red Dead spoilers still. Red Dead 1 spoilers. You can kill the guy that kills John Marston. You can like hunt him down.
Right. Yeah.
And oh no, okay.
It did just occur to me.
It just occurred to me that I did listen to the second part of the thing because I now remember them talking about that. Because it was Natalie on there was talking about how annoying it is, the just like random fail, like they want you to do the thing in a specific way, so there's all these weird fail states, like you've got to go and confront the Ross is his name, the Pinkerton, and like challenge him to a duel. You can't just like snipe him from you can't snipe him from a distance or like go up and tackle him or something, because it'll like give you a fail state, like you'll fail the mission. And like I was like deep into Red Dead 2 at this point, and like that shit is still happening. It was driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you have a point about, before I go into a lot of stuff about Red Dead 2?
Oh, it was just kind of an aside. It like when Waypoint started talking about all this stuff, it like occurred to me finally. It was like, oh, it totally doesn't make sense that it's like 20 years later, but the entire world still looks exactly the same. Like, that whole area was in such a state of transition that, like, it would have been unrecognizable, like, in the 30s as opposed to, like, in the 10s or whatever.
Yeah. And I think that it sort of has that in between Red Dead 1 and 2 also, where Red Dead 2 is a lot earlier because it's a prequel.
Right.
But like they do a much better job, I think, of selling the world is changing thing in Red Dead 2. Like in Red Dead 1, you spend so much of it in like the fucking desert, and there's very few times in the game where you really see like that the world is changing.
Red Dead 1 is a lot more about like having your cake and eating it too, because the story is kind of about how you know, your gang is done and like outlaws are done, but like really the game doesn't really like the game's world kind of presents it in this like classic Old West kind of way.
Yeah.
Whereas Red Dead 2, even though it's like almost 20 years in the past, it's more about like, hey, this Wild West thing's kind of over.
Yeah, it's definitely like the car's already over the cliff. We just haven't hit the ground yet. Is like the sort of whole vibe of Red Dead 2. But okay, so the stacked in the first third of the game was a lot of stuff that I was starting to enjoy, and I was starting to soften on the whole thing. Because I mean, not that I went in like looking to hate it. I bought the game and I wanted to play it and I wanted to like it. But like all of the bad Rockstar press had me just like nonstop thinking about like, especially because the game is buggy and it's annoying and it's super gamey, right? Like it's really like Rockstar video game. There's like this DNA of like Grand Theft Auto 3 style video game development that they can't seem to let go of. And so there's all these really, really old gameplay decisions that play really bad in 2018. And then they're also doing this like, wow, we made a beautiful, majestic cinematic game. And those things like butt heads with each other in a way that makes the entire game, like it makes the game feel like it's trying to like dance to two different songs at once. And
well, that was kind of what I meant. I think it was like the thing you ended up putting out as like a mini podcast where we talked about Red Dead 2 a little bit. I was trying to say like the breadth of like content and experiences in the world and like all this stuff to me feels so at odds with the way it presents its story, because like nowadays sort of like a Bethesda RPG or like Breath of the Wild, it's much more in keeping with modern standards to just make the game about like go wherever, do whatever, be whatever, the world is yours. And this is about like, no, you are this specific person in this place with these people in this story.
Yeah.
And like, and that part feels really old to me.
But here's the thing it's still trying to do both. Like the stuff of like, you're this guy doing this thing, doing this story, that's the stuff that plays best for me. That's not the stuff that feels old to me. The stuff that feels old is like weird fail states. Like I failed a mission because I put like some bait for a predator down in the wrong spot, right? Like I failed the mission because I failed a mission a bunch of times because a background character wanted me to go to a certain spot, and I had like 3 enemies in front of me, and I was like, let me kill these guys first. And like, if you don't move in time, they'll just have an enemy one hit kill you. And instead of saying like, when you get shot to death, then nobody just says dead. But this time it was like, shot to death. Like you didn't go where John told you to go. And it's like, they had someone super powered shoot me and kill me because I didn't go to the right spot at the right time. Like, I mean, that's the stuff that feels really old. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, but honestly, that even sounds like stuff that wouldn't have been in like GTA 5 or something.
No, but that's what I mean. It might have been in GTA 3 though, and like that's the DNA that I could still feel in there. That is so like it. And then, but then the stuff about like go anywhere and do anything. It does have the Bethesda style stuff of like the world, like with literally one exception. There's one exception, you can do anything at any time. The missions start when you show up to them. You never miss. It doesn't matter if you do it an hour 15 or an hour 45. The guy that's taking the pictures of the coyotes will be taking the pictures of the coyotes when you go to where the spot is where he takes pictures of coyotes. And then it doesn't matter if you do it 2 hours later or 15 hours later. He will be trying to take a picture of whatever other fucking thing he tries to take a picture of. Well, you know?
I mean, would you prefer it if you could miss content like that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, but that's like a
or do you
side
want it to
little
be like
thing.
certain times of day? Like, oh, he only takes pictures of coyotes.
Because they do that sometimes too, and that is just as frustrating. Where it's like anytime, like I can do this mission at any time of day. And then this one, like, they'll block off to me. And then you're, riding across all this terrain. I wasted probably a total of 4 that's probably an exaggeration. Maybe like 2 full hours of time in that game riding to a place only for the mission to disappear as I got there because it like switched over from day to night or something.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, and but like there is story stuff where they're like, you've got to go do this right now, and they give you like, you know, they give you 1 billion years to do it. Nothing ever changes. It's always like, the world is so big and there's so much stuff to do that after 80 hours of everything's happening as soon as I show up to it, that it really starts to like wear on you, you know? Like, and then there's one time where John asks you to like do a thing, and if you don't do it in time, he goes and does it, because there's like this push and pull between you and him as like the favorite son of the gang. And I showed up, and like he was like you didn't move the thing, and you're like, I got tied up doing other stuff, and he was like, don't worry, I got it. Look, I'm not like a lazy guy, I can help out too. And you're like, thanks, John. And like that's all that it took to wipe away a little bit of the tiredness of you've got to do everything, and it starts right when you get there.
Are you sure that wasn't scripted?
There was a waypoint on my thing to go do the thing he asked me to do, and it disappeared, and it moved to where he is in the camp. So like I could have gone and done it. I think I'm pretty like 99% sure
right,
but I didn't want to, because I wanted to go take pictures with the guy that takes pictures. But like it doesn't take a lot to make it not feel like an avatar in T-pose, floating from vignette to vignette, like it's like it, which is what it ends up feeling like. But that's what I mean. Like there's
the T-pose is like a really good visual. That's a new game you got to make. Just like fucking Arthur Morgan like glides in on T-pose like, I have arrived. Player characters here.
And so they do this thing where like you're the specific guy in this specific story. You're there. They put this emphasis on like, are you a good guy? Are you a bad guy? You're with these murderers, but like you know that something's off here. Like that something's wrong. That something's wrong with Dutch. You can't tell if it's always been like that, and you're just now noticing it, or if he's getting worse, or if it's both. And they do give you moments where it feels like Arthur is like becoming a better person. And there's an epilogue. There's a 2-part epilogue. There's epilogue part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, I've heard the epilogue is rather grand in scope.
There's
or at
like,
least in
like,
time commitment.
There's like 5 or 6 hours of story, like new story in the epilogue.
That's so wild.
And a lot of the stuff in the epilogue I really liked at first, at least. But so like you're playing this guy. They like you're playing Arthur Morgan. That's who you are. They do give you like this scope of like, are you a good person? Are you not a good person? I was a good person, right? I was as good of a person as the game let me be.
Right.
But then, like, God, it's just like all of these moving parts, and they don't like. It's like seeing like the whole game feels like a Rube Goldberg machine where the parts are like half a second off, and so you've got like the marbles dropped on the floor. And then a second after it drops on the floor, the marble, like the hand hits it and is supposed to launch it, but the marble's already fallen.
Can you explain a little bit, like what you mean by that, like how it relates to the game? Like, what about the game feels like that?
So there's the camp, and a lot of the camp stuff I really like. I really like the idea of this gang as a sort of family. A lot of them have been together for a long time. Some of them are newer, but there's this like, there's this dual sense of loyalty. I guess it's not a dual sense. There's 3 senses. There's a sense of loyalty. There's a sense that things are changing, and there's this underlying current of like, I don't know if Dutch is up to this anymore. And
right.
And then, but like, you're the guy that is playing the game, so you do everything, and it like undercuts the it undercuts the point that the game is trying to make about this gang as the family when there's the like the camp funds for everyone that everyone donates to so that you can buy food, and it's like 3 straight pages of I'm the only one that's donated, and I'm donating like $10 at a time, and everyone's donating like a bracelet or like 80 cents, or like I'm going on like every mission that happens, I go on. There isn't a mission where it's like, oh, Arthur, you sit this one out, and so and then it's like and then everybody waits around till I get there too. So it's like, okay, well, I spent 6 hours doing side missions, and you guys needed me here so bad that you waited, 3 weeks of in-game time for me to show up, for me to help out, and then, are going to be a dick about saying that I'm not helping out. I had a character one time say that I wasn't putting enough in the coffers, and it was like, technically I hadn't donated in long enough that, I only had 1 donation on the page, and it was the furthest away. Like everybody else had donated a bunch, but I added up. I went through. In that 1 donation, I donated more than all of those other ones on the page combined. Plus, just like my entire history of having given hundreds and hundreds of dollars and buying all this stuff. Like, God, like, and this is just like minor inconsistencies with how the story is presenting itself and how it actually feels. Like, there's so much in this game that's
not even getting into like how much the whole system around like bringing materials to your crafter guy, like all that, like none of that stuff even makes sense. I don't even get it. You have to donate different materials.
It took so long, and you don't get to bring any of that stuff into multiplayer. And I kind of assumed that if I unlocked a legendary jacket, I'd be able to wear it in multiplayer.
Oh, you fool, Keith. You got to pay for that jacket in Red Dead Online.
Yeah, you did. Well, yeah, or, grind it out.
Yeah, I don't know, whatever.
But I don't know if there's real money. I don't think there's real money in it yet. But yeah, so it's like, and I really tried to get all those satchels, and I played 85 hours of that game, and I couldn't get them all.
What's a satchel?
The satchels, like, you could upgrade how much stuff you can carry, and different satchels can carry more of different things. And then once you get all the satchels, you can get one more satchel that can carry more of everything. And I tried really hard to get all of those, and it took like 25 hours before I even got one of them. And there's like 8 or something. But like the main thing is that, and I meant to say this earlier, but I got sidetracked. Like, when the game, there's all these really old ideas and ideas that like butt up against these newer ideas and older aesthetics and newer aesthetics, and it's like I guess it's not butting up, it's like tearing the game in half from the middle, and I'm playing the game and I'm just like so mad at the labor issues that came out about Rockstar, and it was, obviously a game like this has issues like that, but usually it doesn't come out. It usually doesn't come out, right?
Yeah, well, to be fair though, what I will say about it is that as more and more information came out about the working conditions at Rockstar while developing Red Dead Redemption 2, it definitely is not something that was like empirically good working conditions, but it didn't sound at all like anything
I don't know,
different
man.
from
I think
any other development studio.
I was talking about this a little bit on Twitter, where it's
working conditions in the entire industry are horrible, but this didn't sound any worse than any other place. Really.
There was stuff where it was like they gave you like a little red mark if you were working less than 60 hours, and there was people that came out and said they definitely were asking us to work 80 hours minimum a week. So like that, and like that's not like unheard of in games. But it does happen all over, which is not to say that it's not to criticize Rockstar, but that the entirety of video game coverage should always be like the coverage of Rockstar pre-Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
It should always sound like that, because games are always doing these to people.
Yeah, I definitely would at least like to hear when journalists are like interviewing like studio leads about their new game, like I want to hear them ask about what the working conditions were like.
Yeah, totally.
Just like, if for nothing else, just to be like, hey, we're paying attention.
Yeah. We like
You know, like we see you over there.
It goes so unnoticed that there almost isn't even a baseline for like what's actually happening when people have to work on games. And especially where it's like maybe for 80% of a video games development, people are working 40, 50, 55 hours a week, and like 50, 55 hours, that's already a lot. And like, but what's happening during crunch? Like how much are people working during crunch? And then when we're talking about stopping crunch from happening at studios and trying to like unionize, or developers trying to unionize their workplaces, or trying to unionize video game development more broadly, making sure that measures are taken preemptively to stop crunch, but to stop publishers and studio management from recouping those losses in other equally exploitative ways. But the thing that I was trying to say about Red Dead specifically was like, I'm playing this game and I'm just like, there's so many problems here. Like, there's weird conflicting visions. The game is annoying to play a lot of the time. It's so long. The story is kind of falls apart in places. And I'm like, the only way to have fixed this game was to work harder on it. And while I was having these thoughts, like, online was still not released, which means it was under development, which they were probably crunching. And now that it's out, they're still, having to do huge amounts of support on it. They're overhauling the economy system, which is broken as we speak. And I'm just like, this game shouldn't have been made.
I
like,
think they're technically calling it a beta right now.
Yeah, it's still in beta. Yeah, you're right.
Which it's actually, I'm shocked that it was out so soon, because I think GTA Online took like 6 months to come out or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It took a really long time. But it was such a cash cow for them that now they're like, oh boy, we better get this out faster. And it works.
Sure.
But it's like, but I'm just like, I just can't. Every time I saw something in this game that I was like, ugh, this should have been fixed, I couldn't help but remember, like, I can't help but look at this game and be like, wow, so many people had their fucking time wasted on this mess. It just never should have been made. They couldn't make
much.
it. It was an unmakeable game. The scope, like the idea that they had at the scope with the amount of people working in those hours, and still was an unmakeable game. It was just so
like I would say it's overscoped, but that's not really appropriate, because anyone who's played Red Dead Redemption 2 knows that there was no scope. Like, they just made a game for 8 years. Like,
no, it really felt like this isn't how any video game gets made. Like, or like, even when you think of like how TV shows are filmed out of order, like, video games aren't made first level first, last level last. But it does feel like they were like, okay, you have this long to make a game in, and then they just made it minute by minute, and then they ran out of time.
No, I more mean like you look at the game and there's just so many things going in so many different directions. It's almost dizzying until like, so if you start to paint the picture of like, right, because you had all these different teams that were all responsible for different things, and they were just almost, it seemed, probably working almost autonomously for like 8 straight years. So that's why it's like, that's why there's like 100 different saddle horns to pick from, and like 18 different bed rolls to put on your horse. Like, because none of it matters, but it's just like they had the like fucking horse accessory team. And so like, what were they gonna do?
Another. So this is like a very minor thing that I think exemplifies a lot of other stuff about the game. Like a lot of bigger picture stuff where it's like there's 20 different horsehair colors and like 20 different horse hairstyles. But if you pick a different horse hairstyle, there's no way to also pick the horse's natural hair color.
What?
Yeah, so if you have a black horse with a black mane, but you want to cut it so that the mane is short, you can't just have a black short mane. It has to be a different color.
Wait.
Yeah, really. Well, I don't know if it's black, because there's probably like a black color. But I've had horses where like there's a
Oh,
icon that says
okay.
natural, right? And that's the horse's natural color. When you
Right.
change the horse's hairstyle, the natural hair color disappears, and you have to pick from the list. And the two horses that I used in the game did not have a corresponding hair dye from the list. So when I cut their mane short, I had to change to just the closest hair color to that hair.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of, I feel like that supports kind of what I was talking about. Is like, it just sounds like, it's like somebody was making horse hair over here, and somebody was like making the colors that the horse hairstyles could be over here, and like they never were able to like bring it together because it's like, of course they couldn't tie all the threads of this game together because there's so many, like there's never been a game with more threads than this.
Yeah.
Besides, maybe Skyrim. I don't fucking know.
No, Scott, but Skyrim is so separate that it doesn't have this conflict that Red Dead has. Like, Red Dead has this conflict because there's so much separation, but they're also trying to, like, tell this very specific story about a guy. And, like, Bethesda doesn't run into that. Like, you can laugh about how, like, nobody knows who you are, but you're the world's greatest mage, and you're the head of the Thieves Guild, and you're the assassination guy, and you saved the world from dragons. Like, and no one knows who you are, and it's, like, silly, but Skyrim is silly. Like, it's, like, the whole thing is a joke on its face, almost. Like, it's, like, not trying to disguise. It's not trying to dress itself up as anything but one of those things.
I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, like, I would say Skyrim knows what it is, but it's very serious. Like, Skyrim thinks Skyrim is very serious.
But I don't want to dig into it now, but it just like doesn't have the same conflict between trying to do everything and trying to tell a specific story like it's just like Skyrim just feels like a list of things to do to me, and Red Dead doesn't feel like a list of things to do. It feels like I'm playing a guy's life. And he has a journal. That's my favorite part of the thing, by the way, is the journal. It's so good. He's drawing all these beautiful pencil sketches of all the flowers and animals that he sees. Like, there's a real sensitivity to Arthur. It's like sucks in some ways, and he's a murderer, sure, but he at least is aware of the contradiction of himself, and that's where the story goes, and that's some of the strongest parts of the game is like Arthur, like you get to a point. So there's this really weak stretch of main story stuff, and I was getting more and more angry at the game. And this is like, God, it must have been like 60 hours in or something. And I just go like, you know what? I'm done picking and choosing which of these missions I'm going to do based on whether I like them or not. I'm going to take all these things that I've been ignoring because they sound like they suck and just do them so that I don't give myself a better idea of this game than it deserves. And so the two main things that I did when I had that idea were there's a mission where you go and help this guy invent the electric chair.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then there's I know, right?
Oh, I will say I want to. It just occurred to me, so I'll throw this in here. The one point of the time that I did spend with the game that I was just like totally thrilled with was the mission where you go with Lenny to the bar to get drunk.
Oh, and so good.
That whole sequence is so fucking good.
Those were the brightest spots of the game. Like there's this really great fishing trip that you take with Dutch and Hosea. There's the bar scene with Lenny. There's some of that stuff in the epilogue too. Like there's a scene where like you're all singing together. Like singing a song, like you're building a house and singing a song, and like all that stuff was really fun and good. And there's a lot of really fun and good stuff in the game, but like there's also stuff where you like beat a guy half to death for $30 because the German guy in your camp that who's a loan shark makes you do.
I stopped doing those.
And so so I stopped doing them too.
I did one. It was fucking horrible.
I stopped doing them too. But they actually make you do 3, I think. They force you to do 3. Pretty sure. So but I went back and did more of them later on. They all were horrible to do, and they made me feel really bad. And if you read the journal, Arthur doesn't like it either, but he goes in and he still fucking sells it. Yeah, never when I'm playing it did I go like wow, Arthur seems conflicted here. But
Right,
later in the journey, you
exactly.
read the journal, and he's like, I hate doing this. It makes me feel like an asshole, and
Yeah, you know why?
because he's a fucking asshole.
No, because there was a different person writing the journal than writing the
No,
fucking
no,
mission.
the story, the journal, I think intertwines really well as it goes on. Like
Okay.
the journal Arthur becomes game Arthur in a
I guess
in a good way.
that game. I guess that game actually did have a bizarrely small writing team. It's like 6 people.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah, it did. That's the strongest part of it is like Arthur having this idea that maybe they're not such great people, and
Yeah.
and that journey is probably the strongest part of the game, I think. And the journal I think plays a lot into that. And then the epilogue too. If we ever do a spoiler cast about this, then
It won't happen.
yeah, I didn't think so. But anyway, so there's this really bad stretch of story stuff, and then towards the end, it sort of starts to pick up a little bit for me because of the I was doing all the last chapters of the Stranger missions that I liked. There's this guy, they're called the Veteran missions. You meet this like guy and help him find his horse. He's a veteran that lost his leg in the Civil War, and you hang out with him a few times. And I finished those, and then I finished the photography guy missions, and then there's this woman whose husband died that's living in the woods, and you kind of help, like, teach her how to not die in the woods. And you've got all these people telling Arthur that he's, like, a good guy, and he's like, no, I ain't. And they're like, no, you really are. And and at first I was like, no, he's really not. He's really not that good of a guy.
Yeah.
But like the more stuff that Arthur, and then also at that time I had long since stopped like committing crimes and killing people. And then is Arthur a good guy or not starts to bleed into the story missions and it all kind of fit together. And I ended the game, especially epilogue part 1, feeling really positively.
So wait, sorry, are you finished with this game? Like, did you finish the story?
Yeah, I both
Okay.
beat the game, and I am finished. I'm finished with the game because I then play. So I finished specifically epilogue part 1, really feeling much more positive about the thing as a whole than I had maybe any individual time inside the game.
Sure.
But then I played the multiplayer, and
Okay.
it is so bad. It is like. It is the game with no I mean, it's a game with no pretense of a story. You are an avatar with literally no voice, and you are playing these story missions, and you technically have this honor bar, but it's like you're just doing Red Dead missions, and it is like the game showing its true face. It is like the game is like, okay, this is what the game really was all along. The game really was all along a series of using your rifle to try to shoot 100 people in the head at a time.
Well, yeah, what'd you think it was?
Well, when Arthur is there grumbling about maybe we're not doing the right thing, it feels like a game about this guy learning that he shouldn't be doing the things that he's doing and that he's thrown his life away by there's a story there's a guy that is always asking for money. He's a blind guy. When you give him money, he tells you a small fortune. And one of them was him saying like you've been following the wrong star your whole life. And it's like, yeah, Arthur's a guy that has been following the wrong star his whole, and he goes, I don't know what you mean, partner. And then he rides away. And it's like, do you really not know? Because I know.
It's like, this is all you talk about.
Yeah,
Arthur.
yeah, exactly. Like even internally, he talks to himself about how he's been following the wrong star. But like without that stuff there,
I am interested in the story. Like maybe I'm gonna play this game an hour at a time, and hopefully I finish it before I die or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you want, I can write you a list of things to just not bother with, and you can get through it much faster than I did.
Can you rapid fire a couple of them?
Yeah, sure. Let me if I get a list of the Stranger missions. If I just get a list, I can tell you which
Well,
ones are good. And then you've
I
got to
mean-
play through the story, right? Like,
Well, yeah, I guess when I said like play, I feel like if I'm trying to get through the story as fast as possible, it goes without saying that I don't do any of the non-story ones.
no, well, but that's what. But like, all of the best stuff is when the good stranger missions tie in with the story mission. If you just played the story, I think the game would be incredibly hollow. Like all of the evidence that Arthur is a thinking person that has ideas about his place in the world come, I would say, probably 75% from the stranger missions. Yeah. So we've got Arcadia for amateurs. That's the picture taking one. We've got
That's all right. We don't have to get into it. I think we've talked a lot about Red Dead. I think we can kind of move on if you're okay with it.
Okay. Let's see. Do I have anything else to say? Yeah, just boy, the multiplayer could not have done a better job of ruining the ways that I had come to appreciate the game. It really fucked it up for themselves. And we didn't get even into like how obsessed the game is still with a version of Dutch that isn't a piece of shit. Like Dutch is an asshole piece of shit, but they are always hinting that if he was better, that he would be right. There's some racist stuff. I mean, obviously, it's like you're a bunch of bandits pretending that you're the oppressed people.
Right.
There's a really one of the worst lines in the game is you meet this this native chief and his son, who are they're both upset about how things are going for them. And the son is, angry and wants to fight, and he kind of yells at Arthur. Or he basically calls Arthur a phony because he wants money in exchange for their help. And then Arthur is like, "We're the same. We both been running our whole lives." It's like, that is different. You are running because you kill people. That's different. Yeah, it's really bad. It is maybe actually the worst line of the game. And then I just real quick want to rapid fire through some of the worst stuff. Like there's the really hollow, like you'll come up on some clan people, right? And
yeah, I've heard about that stuff.
And it's really great to just take out your gun and murder all of them. But there's there's definitely people online who are like, what happens if you bring black people to these guys? And what if you hog tie a black guy and bring him to the clan? And then you see where the game's real ideology, where it's not just a game that lets you shoot a bunch of clans people in the head. It's a game where if you deliver a black person to them, they're like all excited, but they're dumb, so they catch themselves on fire and all die. Like,
yeah,
and that's the big comment that they can't the way that the comment that they actually have to have about the fucking Ku Klux Klan is oh, well, we're just going to take our way out of this is that they're stupid and they accidentally light themselves on fire. And that's how we are going to avoid having to have something to say. And it's like
I guess that's the thing is anytime you find someone from the clan, if you just leave them to their own devices, they end up killing themselves somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like it's those moments where you go, and that's part of why I hate the multiplayer so much, is because like so much of the game is being a person playing the game as Arthur and making certain choices and not other choices. And when like there's other people who are shittier people and they play the game and they get a whole different idea of this game and its world, because actually, like always, Rockstar's philosophy is of the world is completely hollow. And this game does a better job of hiding that it is South Park, that it is just this everything gets scorned and we don't pick a side because having a side makes us stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
And Red Dead 2 definitely does a better job of hiding that that's what it's about. But as always, that's kind of what it's about. I had one last thing, but I don't think I can remember it. It was an idea that I had in the last minute or two.
Okay.
But that's a lot of time on Red Dead.
Yeah.
So
That is a lot of time on Red Dead. It's too bad. I was hotly anticipating that one. I was expecting to really like it, and then it just didn't do much for me.
Oh, the first 1 second of my Red Dead experience was two guys using the N-word to slur another player character over and over and over
cool.
again. So
you can hear people talking. Huh?
yeah, there's actually a lot of people on headsets just out in the world, and they
Bummer.
suck. And there was no way to report these people. I had to do it through like the Xbox. I had to quit out. I had to quit so that I tried to murder them, but it wouldn't let me because at the time we happened to be on the same team. So it wouldn't let me kill them. So I had to quit out of the game and report them through like the Xbox interface as like through my recent players thing. And yeah, it was super bad. And it's just like, and then I heard them talking about how much they fucking love the game. So like, anytime I find myself thinking maybe this game has something to say about like power and hierarchy and capitalism, I just have to remember that it also speaks to the people who see a black player character and say the N-word, who's the N-word, over and over again, and then just yell about it. So that's also Red Dead, you know. So fuck that game. I hope the people that got worked to death working on it
fuck
get
that
their
game.
bonuses.
I paid $60 for it. I played it for 85 hours. Fuck that game.
Yeah, well, I became like obsessed with like, what is this? What am I playing? Why did it get like? Why? What is it about it that I like, and what is it about it that I don't like? And there's so much of the game that there's a lot to say for both. But there's so much more to say about why I don't like it that we didn't get to much of the good stuff. Although no, we kind of did cover all the stuff I liked about it. It's just that it's much easier to say I ended the game liking Arthur, you know, like, because that wasn't always how I thought that it was gonna go. But anyway, that's it. That's Red Dead.
Okay, wait, sorry.
That's fine.
I have one thing to say about, kind of goes along with like the really weird like mission parameters and stuff. Was I had this one, early on in the game, you find a group of people from the O'Driscoll gang, and they're like in a cabin, and you kill them all, and then your fucking guy who's an O'Driscoll tells you that they probably hid the money in the chimney. Yeah. And so I'm like walking around this house trying to figure out what to do. I've looked at every shiny thing. I opened every drawer. I picked up everything.
It's in the chimney.
I'm going to the fireplace. It's not letting me do anything. I'm like, does it want me to climb on top of this house and go to the chimney?
I think you just
guess
crouched
I'll try
down,
doing
right?
that.
I think that's what I did.
No, so I'm walking on top of this house. I'm searching everything. I'm going absolutely crazy, but I can't leave because I'm in a mission. So if I leave, it's going to reset everything. I'm going to have to do the whole gunfight over again.
Yeah.
And it was something where what it was is that there was a shotgun mounted above the fireplace, and it wanted me to take the shotgun down so that it could tutorialize me about something about a shotgun. And so that's what it was waiting for, because I saw the shotgun and went, well, I don't want that shotgun, and just left it there. But it was like, no, you need to pick up this shotgun.
I think that you probably do need to pick up the shotgun, but I am almost 100% sure there's literally a pile of cash in the fireplace, and you reach in and grab it.
Yeah, no. After you pick up the shotgun, then it lets you get the
first.
money out of the chimney.
I'm pretty sure it let me do that first.
Trust me.
All right, I trust you. You're right. That is not like That's not how I remember it, but that's 100% something that would happen. So totally,
right?
Yeah, stupid game with dumb ideas, over and over and over again for 85 hours.
I got some quick news stories we can get through. We could do a few quick news topics. I've got that one listener mail question, and then we get the fuck out of here. How's that sound?
Yeah, I got a couple things too. Yeah, so but we can get through them quick.
Okay. First thing I have is Darksiders 3 came out. You heard anything about Darksiders 3?
I heard it was a mess. That's all that I heard.
Yeah, everyone says it's not good. I'm really upset about it.
There's one guy I heard that liked it.
I mean, I haven't heard like utterly terrible things, and I've heard a lot of like, people that are huge fans of Darksiders are the ones that will like it the most, and I guess I'm that. I was really, really excited about this game, and now it doesn't sound so good, and it's sad.
Yeah, bummer.
It just sounds like they didn't
Although-
have the team or the budget to do what they needed to do.
Although I
and
kind of didn't
sucks.
love Darksiders 2 either.
Well, me neither, but I was hoping that they could bring it back, and it sounds like all of the ideas of Darksiders 3 are good. Like, and it sounds like it's like 3 is a lot more like 1 was what I was hearing, and it got me really excited because I think 1 is so much better than 2.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
The PlayStation Classic came out.
Mhm.
You know about that shit?
I know about that shit.
It's a little mini PlayStation. It's got PlayStation games on
Got
it.
Jumpin' Jack
Doesn't-
Flash.
It's got Jumping Flash.
Got Jumpin' Jack Flash. The
Doesn't
song.
have any
It plays
fucking
one.
analog sticks.
Oh, why?
No analog sticks on that controller. I don't know. Well, the thing was, when I saw that there were no analog sticks on the controllers, which is what the original PlayStation controllers were before they introduced the better controllers that had analog sticks.
Yeah.
I thought like, oh, this is going to be like they're going to do they're probably going to put a new one out next year and get everyone to buy another one that has analog sticks, and then that will have all the games that use the analog stick stuff. But then this one has Metal Gear Solid, and like DualShock stuff was like a big deal with that game.
Can you just use a PS1 controller?
It's a USB connection, so I don't know if other USB controllers will work.
Bummer.
But the really, really weird thing about this is that some of the games that are included are the PAL version, and the PAL version PAL versions of games run at 50 hertz instead of 60 hertz, which means 50 frames per second instead of 60 frames per second.
Right.
And because we're talking about it's not that the game is running at the same speed at a lower frame rate. It's running at a lower speed. So it's like 1/6 slower than the NTSC version.
That's so weird.
It's crazy that they did that. There has been no explanation for it. I can't even really think of what the explanation would be.
Well, I mean,
like why you would do that.
If it doesn't have an explanation, that would make sense because I can't see I can't see an explanation for the other weird thing, which is the no analog stick thing. Doesn't seem like it would have an explanation either. Except maybe it's cheaper. Maybe they're both cheaper.
It's cheaper.
The
well,
PAL version is cheaper than the...
No. I mean, it's like the only thing I can possibly think of is
what if they
there's
made
some
a system
kind of
that can
license.
only run a 50 hertz game?
That's what Jeff Gerstmann's been speculating.
Really?
Is
Cool.
like, maybe they put in the 50 frames per second version of Tekken 3 because this thing can't run 60 frame Tekken 3.
Yeah.
But I just don't buy it. It doesn't sound
It's not hard
true.
to get a PS1 game to run at 60 frames a second.
That's what exactly, right?
But if you're trying to save a lot of money and you don't care if you put out a dumb thing, then maybe, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but
it probably is
luckily,
still cheaper, even if it's not much.
But I don't know. But anyways, I just saw on Twitter, like right before we started recording this, apparently they figured out that you can plug a USB keyboard into it and hit escape to pull up an options menu, and you can just switch on regular speed for the PAL games.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, it's really fucking weird, right?
Yeah, super weird. Do you have anything more on the what is it called? The PlayStation Mini Classic? What is it?
No, it's PlayStation Classic. Yeah. I don't really have anything else. It looks pretty cool, but it's $100.
Yeah.
So
did you see that slick looking new Super Nintendo thing?
You're talking about the Super NT?
Analog's ghostly
it's
themes.
all-
Yeah, Super NT. Yeah, that's what it's
Yeah.
called. Yeah. That thing's
That's
cool.
actually an old. That product's been out for a couple years. This
Oh,
is just
really?
a new color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it fucking looks.
But I mean, it is a cool thing. But, not to get too deep into it, but it's like those systems use FPGA chips, to like emulate. It's like
Ugh.
instead of software
I'm a
emulation,
bum
it's
over
like,
it.
it's
thing I wasn't
they
gonna
use-
buy. Now I'm super not gonna get. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Fuck
No,
off.
you're. I. Good point, Kyle. Keep doing the point.
No. This is my point. Is that it's their big selling point for these systems is that it's not emulation, it's real hardware, but it's FPGA hardware, which are basically like reprogrammable chips. So instead of like a chip that you just design it once and you press it and it's done and it just is what it is, you can reprogram it on the fly to be any kind of chip you want within, some parameter that works for the chip or whatever. So what it means, it's basically like one step closer to real hardware. It's like hardware emulation instead of software emulation.
Right.
But it's still not real hardware.
Mm-hmm.
But what's cool about it is that it's technically possible that you could, because FPGA chips are like reprogrammable, it means that you could make a system that could emulate dozens of different video game systems. And actually the guy that designs like this Super NT thing, the original like analog NT Mini was the same sort of thing, but he actually put out like additional emulators so that it would play other systems. But then they stopped doing that because I think they realized that they could make way more money if they just keep selling people single-use devices. So it's sort of like they're selling you a box that could theoretically emulate dozens of consoles, but is programmed to only emulate one console just so they can get you to buy another one later.
Bummer.
And fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that. Not into
Fuck
it.
that.
Analog, get out of here.
Get out
That
of
is
here.
anti the spirit.
Consumer.
Anti-consumer, but it's also anti the spirit of like making a weird hack device.
Yeah. But it sounds like Jeff Grissom was talking about something called a Mister, which is some sort of like modular FPGA something or other that sounds like maybe it could be that. It could be like the hardware box that can do all kinds of video game systems.
Nice.
So that sounds cool.
That does sound cool.
Hey, Keith.
Yeah.
Fallout 76 came out.
Yeah, I heard that was a pile of trash,
Yeah.
and they sent you the bag to put it in.
Oh, yeah. So what Keith is referring to is that there was a really expensive special edition that came with a bunch of stuff, including what was promised was going to be a canvas bag. And instead what consumers got was a shitty nylon bag that was like, kind of looked like one of those like drawstring backpacks that you see people wearing.
Yeah.
And they cited like material shortages when really it's very obvious that they probably realized that the canvas bags were way too expensive.
The
or
canvas
something.
bag looked pretty nice too. It was like
It
a
looked
nice
pretty
looking
nice,
thing.
yeah.
It's not something that I would want because I don't want a Fallout bag, especially a Fallout 76 bag.
It wasn't even a messenger bag. I think it was like a tote bag.
It wasn't like a tote bag. It was like a weekender kind of, like a mini duffel.
Sure. Yeah.
But
now, so there was a lot of outrage, rightly, because there
Yeah.
should have been, and now they're promising to give everyone their.
well,
canvas bags.
did you see what they originally had said?
Well, I saw that there was somebody who complained to Bethesda support, and the support agent said that it was because of cost. It was because of material cost, and then Bethesda had to come out and say, "Don't listen to that guy. It was a material shortage."
I want to find the exact quote, but if I can't find it in a second, it was okay. Yeah, here it is. This was their original quote on it. The bag shown in the media was a prototype and was too expensive to make. We aren't planning on doing anything about it. That was their original quote. They are now doing something about it.
Oh, and like this is like okay, like Fallout 76 is such a mess. Like such a mess of a game. So I haven't played it, and I haven't actually seen it being played, but I've heard a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah.
And from the sound of it, it's like a complete buggy train wreck of a game, technically, as all Bethesda games are,
right?
Especially when they launch. But then on top of that, like the game that the bugs are in doesn't even seem to be a game that would ever be fun.
I mean, okay, but do you remember when? So think back to how fucking cagey they were about what this game was at launch.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like I knew that this game was going to be bad.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like
so at first it was because they were being super cagey about it, but then as we started to learn what this game actually was supposed to be, like it always sounded like a horrible idea. Why do I want to be running around in a Fallout world, like murdering overleveled monsters and and like shooting at other people and nuking people? And like what? Like it just seemed so wild.
Yeah, it's so wild. I mean, the moment that they said it's a Fallout game where every human you find is another player, it just sounded bad.
Yeah.
It's like, how could that be fun?
How could
like
that
unless they're on some fucking galaxy brain level shit where they discovered how to make a game a way no one else has made it, then that game's gonna be bad.
And if that's what they had done, they wouldn't have been so fucking cagey at the start. They would have said, like, we figured out the next new shit in online multiplayer experience. And they maybe actually did say that because that's what everybody says. But, yeah,
Yeah. And also, there's also the thing where they say every human that you meet is another player. And that's technically true because they're not counting Scorched or ghouls as humans. What they are humans that have been hurt /mutated /irradiated by nuclear war because they didn't have basically they weren't wealthy enough to be able to hide in an underground vault for 100 years, and so they're not even humans anymore according to this game.
Yeah, which by the way is not only fucked up but also directly contrary to every other Fallout game. Every other Fallout game has ghouls as people.
Yeah, the whole point of ghouls is that they're just normal people.
Yeah, and that's like the whole thing about ghoul. Like, there's always in Fallout games a like, if not a plot line, then at least a gesture towards like people discriminating against ghouls because some ghouls are monsters, I guess.
That's you. I actually, when I was a kid, I would hang a sign on the outside of my treehouse that said "No ghouls allowed."
Yeah, and that was racist. At least in Fallout World, which would have been a much better game. It wouldn't have.
Oh, you just think Fallout World would have been better?
Yeah, if they had called it Fallout, I think a game that called itself Fallout World would have been a better kind of game.
Yeah. And this is aside from the horrible like Bethesda not giving people their bags that they paid for and then telling them to fuck off.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not talking about this part, but maybe I feel like there's some segment of the Bethesda fan base that needed this kick in the teeth a little bit. Because calm the fuck down about these Bethesda games.
Yeah.
Maybe be a little bit more discerning with your consuming.
It's nice when a studio that has been putting out worse and worse games every game they put out, and they're like the cat's finally out of the bag, like they finally made one bad enough where everybody's freaking out about it.
Yeah. I just remembered because you saying that reminded me that the best Bethesda RPG that's come out in the past 15 years was actually an Obsidian game, which was Fallout New Vegas.
Exactly, 100%.
And I just remembered Obsidian just got bought by Microsoft. Did you hear about that?
I am excited for Obsidian to be putting out more games. I am not. I guess anxious about the prospect of Microsoft owning Obsidian, which it's been a long time, and there's a lot of staffing changes that have gone on, and my favorite Obsidian member is not part of Obsidian anymore.
Oh,
Chris Avellone.
I've heard that's a name I've heard you say a lot.
Chris Avellone wrote a bunch of video games. He most recently worked on a bunch of stuff for FTL and Into the Breach, but he also wrote KOTOR 2, and he wrote Fallout New Vegas, and he wrote all those old like the D&D game. He wrote a lot of the D&D games. He wrote Neverwinter Nights 2, and then the expansion that everybody really likes.
Cool. There were a bunch of expansions for that game, so I don't know which is the one that everybody likes.
He wrote Planescape Torment, and which everybody likes. Icewind Dale.
That's actually his official title, right?
He wrote Fallout 2. Yeah. Wait. What's the title?
Sorry, that's his official title. It's Chris Avellone, which everybody likes.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, here's the thing. I've heard Chris Avellone talk about his games before, and when he talks about his games, I kind of, I'm not, I don't know, something about it I'm like doesn't click with me. He was on an episode of Idle Thumbs that I listened to specifically because he was on it, and I as I was listening to it, and I should listen to it again because it was a while ago. But I remember listening to him, and I'm like, this is not connecting with me, even though every game that I've ever played that he wrote did. So
that's a bummer.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, it's not. Well, I still like the games.
Yeah, I just mean that.
Mask of the Betrayer, by the way, was the Neverwinter Nights 2 thing that he wrote. He also wrote the main game, but
I'm Googling right now. I want to see a list of these expansions because Neverwinter Nights 2 came out in 2006, and Storm of Zahir, I think, is the most recent one. No, maybe not.
Oh, Ice Cream Jones says Chris Avellone got kind of fashy, and then he hangs out on fascist forums, which is a bummer.
No!
RPG Codex, the RPG forum for white nationalists. That's wild. Are you kidding me?
No!
Wait, hold on. Was Chris Avellone Kreia?
That's a bummer.
Where did you?
Maybe Neverwinter Nights 2 only did have 2 expansions and not like a bazillion. Maybe I'm wrong.
You might be thinking of just any one of the other things.
I don't know. I think I remember hearing in 2008. Like, hey, we're putting out another expansion for Neverwinter Nights 2, and that was just their second one, and the original game came out 2 years before that. But I was like under the impression that the original game had come out like 8 years before that or something. I was like, oh my god, they're still making expansions for this game? I think I just had my timeline all messed up.
Man, that's such a bummer about Chris Avellone. He's writing something right now. They just brought him on as lead for Evil Within 2?
3 probably.
No.
You know what's going to happen now is you're going to go back and...
Then it's not Evil Within.
You're gonna go...
It's something else. It's the vampire one? The one where at night they're worse?
You mean the zombie one? Dying Light? Dying Light 2.
Yeah, Dying Light 2. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a game that would have some kind of fascist writer on it, because that game's all about how the zombie apocalypse made society revert to the Dark Ages. It's like modern Dark Ages, and we're hanging people in the streets.
Well, so the first one, he was not on, and they brought him on because they didn't have a story for the first one, and they wanted someone to have written they want someone to write a story.
No,
for it.
I'm talking about 2.
Yeah, but isn't 1 the same shit?
I don't think so.
No? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't play it, so maybe it is.
That is the tagline, Hyacinth. That Dying Light 2, at night, they're worse!
But you know what's going to happen now is you're going to go back and replay some of these games you love, and you're going to look at the writing a second time and be like, oh no, it was always there! This guy's horrible.
Well, this is maybe that's what I'm saying about that. When I listen to him talk about his games, maybe that's what I'm picking up on. But I will stand by that KOTOR 2 is the best addition to the Star Wars universe that has ever been.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's easily true.
Even
It's
better
like-
than the Christmas special?
It goes KOTOR 2, Christmas special, KOTOR
Wait.
1, Last
Keith.
Jedi. Yeah.
Keith.
Yeah.
Even better than Star Wars Detours? Detours!
What is that? I just Googled Detours. I've got to. Star Wars Detours was so huge that that's the main thing people remember. Star Wars Detours. What is that?
Sorry for what you're about to remember.
Oh, I don't know what this is.
No, you do, because we've talked about it before.
Have we? I don't remember. It's an unaired American CGI animated comedy
it was-
series.
It was
unaired.
never aired.
Yeah.
Oh, because we were talking about the first trailer that had come out and how atrocious it looked.
39 episodes produced. It was unaired.
Ooh.
Wow. That's gotta hurt.
I want to get my hands on those.
Was this before or after they sold to Disney? Because it seems like a Disney thing.
You know what? It might have been right before. I don't think it was after. Because I
Distributor
don't
Disney. I mean, it might have been
Huh.
distributor Disney anyway, but
Because I don't remember the narrative being like, oh, Disney got their hands on Star Wars and they're ruining it now. I remember it just being like, man, Star Wars got weird.
yeah. Why would what is
Okay,
the...
because so Star Wars Detours trailer was posted on YouTube August 25th, 2012, and then we just need to say Disney buys Star Wars. On October 30th, 2012, Disney announced a deal. So
the deal was probably in the works, and they were probably working on Detours during...
yeah, maybe.
And then bought them and scrapped it.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah, or Disney, bought Star Wars, and the first thing they were like, fucking get rid of that Detours thing. It's a piece of shit. God, what were we playing? We talked about this for, you know what it is? I think it's Sonic Colors. Somewhere in our Let's Play of Sonic Colors is us talking about this trailer for like an hour. But let's move on.
Let's move on. I have one quick thing and one...
I've got one more news story and a listener question.
Okay. Let's try to do these rapid fire. Do you hear about the Tumblr ban of adult content?
I just heard about that, yeah.
What a fucking horrible and bizarre thing. Like, so there's like, you know when you have like different ideas about the same thing?
Well, it's really weird. I didn't even know that there was content on Tumblr that wasn't explicit.
Right. That's what I mean. That's like my initial gut reaction is why would they get rid of all of their content? That's bizarre.
Yeah.
But then after that sort of like this is a horrible business decision thing kicked in, it was like a dual shot of companies are always fucking like destroying the people that are most dependent on this. Like there's people whose income comes from doing or writing porn on Tumblr. Like that's like their job.
Yep, platforms aren't your friends.
Platforms are not your friends. Corporations
they
do
will
not care that
throw
you have
under the bus
enriched...
the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't care that
they
you
will throw
enrich
you
them.
under the bus the moment that they decide that your presence is less valuable than your absence.
Right. And sometimes it's not even a decision that their presence is less valuable than the absence, and they'll just make a decision for no reason. Like this might have an actual monetary reason, but can you fucking think of one? Can you think of why having porn on Tumblr would be
I mean,
oh, Verizon bought Tumblr. I'm hearing. Thanks, Isaac.
Oh.
Yeah, Verizon bought Tumblr from Yahoo and said, get this porn out of here.
okay, yeah. Well, why'd you buy it
Yeah,
then,
why'd you
Verizon?
fucking buy it? What's the point? Because they probably just want to use the Tumblr name for something totally different.
Well,
You know, they probably just want to just like
but
remake
yeah, it's
Tumblr.
like, yeah, it's like I feel like the thinking is like we want something like Tumblr, but it's gonna be so hard to make a Tumblr and get it successful. So we should just buy Tumblr and throw out the stuff we don't like. But it's like, like we want to be the owner of something predominantly known for being the bad version of something people used to like.
Yeah, right? And it already was that when Yahoo bought it. It already had become the bad version of a thing people used to like. And so I guess now it's going to be the broken version of a thing people used to remember liking. Anyway,
Sorry,
this is the sort of stuff that makes like being on Patreon feel terrible, especially because like it was only a year ago that Patreon scared the shit out of all of the people that were on Patreon by making it seem like they were going to make this decision that made everything way more expensive for patrons, which is not good for creators. Thankfully, they turned that decision back, but it's like it sucks to be subjected to the unilateral whims of a corporation, especially if that corporation is like a dumbass tech startup run by a bunch of fucking idiots. With like just billions of dollars in startup money that they're beholden to some weird billionaire for.
It's sorry, I still had the Google result up on my screen of Disney buying Star Wars, and I just noticed it has that picture of George Lucas like with a pen in his hand signing the deal to sell it to Disney, and they have the Disney executive sitting next to him with a big fucking smile on his face, and George Lucas just looks so upset. He just looks like, oh, why am I doing this? And there's multiple. Oh, we got like different angles. Yeah, there he looks kind of like worried and confused. Where here he's more like a general malaise. I would
general
say.
Malaise is kind of a George Lucas default, I think. I don't know.
Sorry, we don't have anything else about Tumblr.
No, nothing else about Tumblr except you can support our show by going to contentburger.biz. Kyle, contentburger.biz.
So that we can scorn you later.
Yeah, exactly.
Once we're gigantic.
Yeah, once we're enormous, and we'll have our own platform, and we'll kick everybody else off it, and we've become what we've been.
Yeah. We're gonna buy YouTube and then say everything that's not run button on YouTube needs to be deleted.
Oh, that would be awesome. You buy the presidency, and now let's plays that aren't run button are against the law. Did you hear about the Army's new plan to recruit gamers?
No, I saw the headline and intentionally did not click on it because I don't want to know. But I guess now I have a cousin who's going to tell me. He's going to force feed it down my throat.
I don't have to. The Army rolled out.
All right, just tell me.
The Army rolled out its brand new gamer recruitment initiative, Army Esports, which began in September. It's I don't have a ton of details here. I only have a couple quick things that I plucked out before we started. But this is also from Kotaku. I have this quote here. Army Esports is in the early stages of fielding teams for top games like Tekken 7, League of Legends, Overwatch, Fortnite, and even Street Fighter 5. And so
okay.
I think that the idea is if they get soldiers to be really good at video games, then people who like video games will want to fly drones and murder civilians.
I mean, you do it with a video game controller.
Right,
so.
that's what I'm saying. I can't tell if they're literally recruiting civilians to be on the team or if they're just using Army guys.
It would be very lame if it was civilians.
Well, what I mean is like recruiting them into playing video games for them, where then they can make them. They can like now we're in your ear being like you should fucking sign up. It's fighting wars is basically like playing Forza now.
Wait. So you're saying that it's not the military doesn't want the team to recruit from the general public. They specifically want to assemble the world's best video game players so that they can try to recruit just those players.
Yes, exactly, and it makes perfect sense because horrible guy Orson Scott Card had this idea decades ago. Make them play video games, and that's how we'll win the war against the bugs. You know, horrible man Orson Scott Card? And he makes the genius babies play video games to win the war?
Yeah, Keith,
Yeah?
I know horrible person Orson Scott Card and his very, very good book Ender's Game. I do know both of those things.
Yeah, and he makes the genius babies play video games to win the war. And this is probably what is that. And they'll be playing they'll be playing in Evo, and when they win Evo, they go, that was the war. Secretly, that was the war already. That wasn't training. That was the real thing.
Yeah, a little...
Okay. Spoilers for Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow, I guess.
I recently...
are you an Ender or are you a Bean?
I don't remember anything about Bean.
Bean is Ender's Shadow?
I didn't even remember that character was named Bean.
His name is Bean, and he was Ender's Shadow.
Okay, well, don't fucking... I only read the first book, and I might want to read some of the other ones, maybe.
Well, it's fine if you read Ender's Shadow, and I recommend if you do want to read it... Actually, at this point, I recommend don't read these books. Orson Scott Card is a monster man.
Yeah,
and
he is.
even if he's writing good books, he has a trash man with trash ideas, and those ideas are in the books. And so don't read them.
Those ideas are in the books. But that's the thing, though, is like, I feel like Orson Scott Card writes about this world, and he's like, isn't this great? But then, like, you read it, you're like, this is so compellingly terrible, I have to keep reading. Like, not terrible like the book is bad, but like, what a terrible vision for, like, humanity.
If you do want to read it, steal it. And then, like, read it, take a shit in the pages or something and mail it to Orson Scott Card, or if you see him, attack him or something. I don't know. Like, listen, I'm not advocating violence, but my name is Keith Carberry, and you should physically assault Orson Scott Card. I'm not advocating violence. I'm just saying literally attack Orson Scott Card.
Well, no, Keith, all you have to do...
his body.
Well, no, Keith is just going to develop his small indie game where you beat up Orson Scott Card in the game, but then after you finish it, it turns out that it was real, and you actually just beat up Orson Scott Card.
It's called Shadow Complex.
A big read that, like, a lot of people have on Ender's Game is like, oh, yeah, it's all about, like, this... they identify with Ender because it's like they're a nerd that got stuffed in a locker or something. It's like, yeah, just like Ender, he's the put upon nerd. He's so great. He's the best of us, but no one appreciates him.
I'm a genius that everybody loves, but is also the underdog. It's so obvious when you look at it. It's right there. It's like so out in the open. Ugh, God. Anyway. Everybody's upset about Fortnite. It's been popular for so long that now everyone's realizing that it's bad for us.
Oh, is Fortnite bad now?
Yeah. It seems like there is a legitimate and widespread addiction to Fortnite, which makes sense.
Okay.
Because video game companies have had psychologists working for years to try to figure out how to get people addicted to their video games.
They are intentionally designed to be as addictive as possible.
It's out in the open. If you go into the App Store, games will tell you that they are trying to addict you to them. This game is so addictive. I mean, when I was a kid, you'd go to addictedgames.com. It's right there.
I was just going to say, when we were in the computer lab at school, we literally went to addictinggames.com.
But it seems like a real fucking problem. Like, it seems like kids are actually playing too. They're being sent to gamer rehab facilities, which sounds like only a handful of rich kids are getting sent to gamer rehab facilities, and that seems like way overkill. But like,
right, Keith?
Yeah.
You're sounding like an old man who's just hearing about something that's been happening for decades. Like, these centers have existed for so many years now.
But it seems like it is back in the news, Kyle, because of Fortnite.
Oh wow.
And we ostensibly report on the news.
We report, you decide.
And because it's free, there's more people playing this game than have ever played any other game ever. Right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is free. I forgot
it's
about
fucking
that.
free. But
Yeah.
it's only free until you start paying.
Well, Keith, there's a hidden cost.
There's a hidden
there?
cost. A social cost
Your soul.
and a literal cost.
Yeah, for when you buy
When you buy
like
stuff.
a rainbow
Yeah.
hat or whatever.
But yeah, I mean, like, anything can be habit forming, and when you have psychologists come up with ways to make games intentionally habit forming.
Oh yeah, there are so many. There are so many like design philosophies that need to be like outlawed.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see something about like the Federal Trade Commission is going to look into loot boxes?
I did. Yeah, I did see that. Was
Yeah,
it the
they should do
Federal
that.
Trade Commission? I thought it was like the European Union that was doing that.
Though I think that already happened.
Oh, good.
This is a new thing. Yeah.
Wait, did they look into it and say, "Yeah, this is horrible"?
I don't know.
Or did they say
much about
Okay.
it. I think it was more like we're concerned about this and we're going to look into
Yeah.
it. I was afraid that it was going to be like we're going to look into it and we just did and it's fine. Like I thought that was going to be the story,
God,
but I don't
like,
think that's what it was.
I know that the world is full of
But
people
it
in
still
charge
could be
making
that.
horrible
Yeah.
choices. But like, how could you look at it and say that it's fine? You know?
Yeah,
and,
I don't know.
And then, but here's the real
I did
problem.
just today though, like because now all kids' toys are loot boxes. Like they're all blind boxes where you buy a box and you don't know what toy is going to be inside the
Hold
box.
on.
It's like this is
Listen, Grandpa,
everything
I don't want to hear any back in my day bullshit because we were buying Pokemon cards and Dragon Ball Z cards.
No,
those are
I was
blind- okay,
literally.
all right.
You didn't let me finish,
You
Keith.
said now.
That's exactly what I was going to
You
say.
didn't say all toys are loot boxes now. And I just listen. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun.
Thank you. But yeah, that's what I was going to say. Was I was driving today and I was like, oh, when I was a kid, yeah, I bought so many packs of cards and that's all it was. And yeah, there was a game attached to it, but I never played any of those games. I just wanted the cards.
Yeah, man, I wanted those cards so bad I stole them sometimes. And now
Me too.
And now I'm so much better at choosing what should I will and won't steal. God, yeah.
All right.
I mean, I would go.
I really
want
want
to
to be. I really want to be done, Keith.
Yeah,
I
me
wanna be
too.
done so bad.
Do you want to do the listener question? Hey, if you want to send in a question, do it and send it
Do
to
it.
runbuttonpodcast@gmail.com. That is how you ask us a question about anything.
Yeah. About anything. Me specifically, I would like questions about trends in the video game industry and video game recommendations and stuff like that.
I would like questions. I guess I don't want questions, but I want comments about what sort of food you want to be baked inside of.
I hear you laughing, so you might have said something funny, maybe even something at my expense. Unfortunately, Discord cut out, so I couldn't hear it.
I said I don't want questions, but I do want comments about what sort of food you want to be baked inside of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One last thing. We can just get in, get out on this one. Sony pulling out of E3. What do you think, Keith? Sony's not going to be at E3 next year at all, in any capacity. No booth, no press conference, no outside show that's in LA at the same time. None of that. What do you think?
God, I do kind of like the idea of there's a part of me that likes the idea of like all of the news happening in the same 15 minutes. But I don't.
It's fun. It's an event.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's fun. It is an event. But I think that no E3 is the future of E3. I don't really think we're trending towards it not being a thing anymore.
Or
and I actually
or just being like PAX. Like I think it will survive, but it might end up surviving as just like a PAX that's even lamer than PAX.
Oh, they could call it E for everyone or something.
Wow. They could call it okay. You know what? So you're talking about the short-lived thing that was supposed to be like it's E3 but general admission.
Yeah.
I'll give them this though. They had a naming contest for what they should call it. The winning submission was E for All.
Oh, E for All.
And now E for All. I'm going to give you this is like a quadruple entendre. Okay? It's E for All, which sounds just like E for Everyone. So it already sounds family friendly. It's like, hey, you know those games rated E, just like our con, bring your kids.
Yeah.
E for All.
Sounds like Free for All.
Also, sounds like Free for All. Also, if you wanted to abbreviate it, you could make it E number 4 all, or just E4. It's better than E3, Keith. It's E4.
It's 33% better. 33.3%
fucking brilliant.
repeating better.
That name never got the props it deserved. Is fucking genius.
I can't believe that I called it E for Everyone and not E for All. I thought I could have sworn it was E for Everyone. And
everyone in the chat is now saying Ecstasy for All. Guys, get your heads out of the gutter.
Yeah, Ecstasy
is
a
called family-friendly convention.
Ecstasy is called Molly now. Jesus Christ.
All right. I guess Sony. I don't know what Sony's doing, man. They're being weird.
Yeah, they're being weird. Well, it feels like they're working on a new console and don't want to announce it and don't have anything else to announce. So that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And does it feel like to you that the sort of tables have turned in terms of the momentum of the Microsoft and Sony consoles? It really feels like it really felt like Sony had this iron grip on people's interest, and then all of a sudden they didn't have anything to announce, and Microsoft had everything to announce.
Yeah, like the thing is, I feel like Microsoft has been quietly getting their ducks in a row. Like they almost looked like they were kind of floundering for a few years.
Yeah.
Because they were just doing all these things that like felt like how's this gonna put you on top? But it's like once they have all these things, so like now, you know, especially now they just bought these studios, it's like they can come out like in a year or two and be like, this is our new console. We have 100 fucking exclusive games for it. Everything's backwards compatible, motherfucker. Like, you know, vapor chambers. I don't fucking know. And I feel like if you look at what Xbox did with their lead last generation, it doesn't really look like what Sony's been doing. Like, I feel like Xbox went so hard for so long when they were on top. Like, that idea of, like, when you're ahead, get more ahead. Where I feel like Sony feels kind of like they've been using it as an opportunity to rest on their laurels. Like, we don't have to try so hard because we're on top.
Right, yeah. They
like that's not how you stay on top, though.
Yeah, Microsoft tripped and fell on their face. Or I feel like Microsoft tripped and fell on their face with the messaging of the Xbox One, and Sony was like, ugh, we can slow down. Like, oh, good.
Yeah.
But it did, like, even for a couple years, it did feel like, you know, like the word from E3 for like 2 years after that was like Microsoft's got nothing and Sony's just like game, and then they stopped having having that feeling, or they were still doing it, but it didn't feel like enough, or like people just weren't as excited about the games. It was hard to tell, but just like, so it just felt like something happened where like, a big thing for me was like, I remember when the PlayStation Plus games was like such a huge thing, where it was like, they're giving you 2 games.
Yeah.
And then
which was something that they started doing that when they were in second place, you know,
right.
Like,
yeah. Or to me, it felt like it was sort of like part of their come up, you know? And then,
well, yeah, that like it's sort of like last generation Sony was doing what Microsoft is doing now, which is like quietly trying to build, like win over hearts and minds slowly by like, here's some free games every month.
Yeah.
Here's
and
this,
and
whatever.
so
Hey, sorry we got hacked and our online service was down for 3 months.
Can you fucking believe that didn't leave like a bigger mark on people?
It's so
Right?
crazy.
God. Anyway, but a big part of okay. Microsoft did their whole the games with gold thing, and then they ended up doing like two Xbox One games and two Xbox 360 games, or maybe only one Xbox 360. Anyway, they were giving free games out, and it was like, okay, they're now on par with Sony in terms of like they're giving you shit for the money that you're spending for the online service. And then they sort of had like this. There was like this huge shift for me in terms of my perception of like Xbox at like where they were in terms of people's interest in it, where it was like the 1-2 punch of the Xbox Anywhere stuff, or what is maybe that's not what it's called, but like hey, there's now a handful of games that you can play on your PC and on your Xbox, and Xbox is trying to be like this sort of singular interface between a home console and a PC. I think it's called Xbox Anywhere. I'm pretty sure.
Or is it just Games Anywhere? Microsoft? No, it must be Xbox, right? I don't know.
Yeah, because the app is called Xbox Play Anywhere is what it's called.
Play Anywhere, okay. Yeah.
And so they did that, and then it's an extra $10 a month. But I signed up for the fucking Games Pass. And holy shit! Like I don't like sell Games Pass to anybody.
There's a lot of fucking good games on that thing.
I fucking signed up for this thing, and I hadn't been using it very much. And I went to go buy Forza Horizon 4 because it looked really good. And it was like, dude, you have this already. And I was like, I've had this service for 2 months, and they just gave me this $60 game. This is great. Like it was such a huge thing. And then there was I was like, they did an update for Sea of Thieves, and I was playing Sea of Thieves on my PC, even though I had mostly played it on my Xbox. It was fucking dope. And then, like, all of a sudden, like, no Sony at E3. And then the last E3, Sony's thing was a fucking snooze, and it seemed like kind of an annoying snooze, like with the weird theater thing.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, there was a lot of complaints about it, but it was all from people that were in the room because it was really inconvenient for them to have to move around. But viewing from home, it was fine. I actually liked Sony's press conference last year, but I guess
really?
No one else did.
I was bored. I mean, I kind of am always bored for all of them, which is why I'm excited for E3 to finally just go away. But yeah, I don't know. I just always come out of it feeling like people were more excited for the Sony press conference than it deserved. And it was the first year where I was bored by it, and it seemed like everyone else was bored by it too.
Oh, for me, it was like the first year, unless I'm remembering things wrong, I thought it was like the first year in like 5 years or more where Sony hadn't had the best press conference. Like that's why I was excited about their press conference every year, is because it had been the best one for several years.
See, but that's exactly what I mean. Like everybody always feels like that, and I almost never feel that way. And maybe it comes from like not liking playing Sony consoles very much. I just never have liked it. I've always disliked the controller. I have a PS4, and I've played the PS4 more than I've ever played any other, or at least since I played a PS4 way more than I ever played PS2 and PS3
Your
combined.
PS1?
No, PS1 I probably played more than the PS4. But yeah, even like finally having a Sony console that I'll sometimes play something on, I still just find the press conferences to be a real snooze. I don't know, something about it. It was the first year where I finally felt like people weren't annoyed at the Microsoft press conference, but were annoyed at the Sony one.
Yeah, that was definitely new.
Which is how I have felt for years. I've never liked the Microsoft one, but I always was like, it wasn't that bad, but I also felt worse about the Sony one. So I don't know. But it's tough because Sony has now had like what 3-4 years of everybody that wanted to buy a console bought a PS4 already because the Xbox never figured out how to tell people that like the Xbox One wasn't a system that was eating your games unless you had online.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like that's the thing is when you get outside of like the game sphere, you talk about, I mean, who we used to call Joe Madden, but Madden doesn't really sell the way it used to. But anyways, like
Mr.
your
Tony
average
Hawk.
like yeah, yeah, Mr. Tony Hawk who just plays every year's Tony Hawk game. When you're talking about him, you know, most people hear one thing about a console per generation. So, like, what they heard this generation was your Xbox has to be always online and it can't play used games. And, like, that's never going to change until a new Xbox comes out and they can go to the one friend they have who knows about games and goes, what's the deal with this new Xbox? Does it still not play used games?
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. I'm super curious on how like new consoles are going to shake out.
I'm interested. I would really like for the next Xbox to be a best box.
You want it to be called Best Box, or you just want it to be the best box?
I want it to be the best box.
Why?
Probably, if I'm being honest, it's probably just because I'm nostalgic for the 360.
I
But,
mean, I think
they're poised. I think they're poised to make a really good console with a lot of good games, and I hope it's good and they do it right.
I think the Xbox One is a good console. Like, I don't know. I don't like. There's nothing about it where I'm like, wow, I can't believe. Unless you want to talk about it doesn't have the games that like, unless there's some exclusives that I want to play that aren't on the Xbox. Besides that, I can't think of any reason to be like the Xbox is categorically worse.
The only thing I will say is that the interface is very sluggish and only seems to be getting worse instead of better.
Mine's it's definitely slower than the PS4 one, but boy, I just fucking hate the crossbars. I hate them. I would so much rather have the slow Xbox interface than use the like. That's one of my least. favorite things
there's
about
also
it.
the problem where they keep rearranging their dashboard.
They
all
do.
the time.
I don't know.
I
That's
never know where anything.
I don't
is
even know
anymore.
where Games for Gold is anymore. I don't know how to find it. They moved it.
Oh, you just scroll down on your main page. No,
it's not there.
It is.
Is it there?
I mean, it might. I think you have the ability to take things off, so you might have accidentally taken it off at some point or something.
God.
But like the main page is really long now, so just try scrolling.
I just like it is so easy for me to navigate playing my Xbox, and if it takes an extra second for a menu thing to pop up, that is fine. I find navigating the crossbars to be a very quick but frustrating experience. Like, everything loads right away, but it still sucks. Like, when I have to go to the PS4 store is like, not wanting to do that is enough to get me to buy it on a different system. Like, not wanting to use that store and like the vertical the vertical keyboard that's just like a linear keyboard. Oh my God, I fucking cannot stand it.
I think they just changed that because I was just buying something on the store like yesterday, and it didn't make me do that. So they might have just changed it.
God. Oh wow, Jones says Ice Cream Jones says you ain't kidding on the Madden. They sold under 2 million copies.
Huh.
That's low for Madden.
Yeah. Madden used to be like the biggest.
Wow, I
game
can't
every
believe
year.
people are already sick of it after like what 20 years.
Just more than that. Yeah, I guess you know. I don't know. I'm out of steam here.
Beastcoat says.
Anyways.
Oh, do we have a question? Yeah, fuck what Beastcoat says.
Yeah.
Let's do the question and then forget about it.
We've got a question.
By the way, if you have to send us a question, you have to send us a question, and the place you can do it is runbuttonpodcast@gmail.com.
And you have to put the word podcast somewhere in the subject line.
Oh yeah, and
so
you
that I
also
can
put
find it.
yeah. Although if we're getting
Um,
emails from people, we're gonna read them unless the subject is like, "You should check out our stupid game."
No, we just get so many like
get a lot of
emails from like
spam,
mailing lists and
Yeah.
stuff that it'll get lost if you don't put it in the
Yeah.
subject.
Okay. What's the question?
So this is a question from Zachary. Zachary sent this in August 29th. So bit of a delay on this one. Sorry, Zach.
Yeah. If you send
Zach-
send one in because you have to, we'll get to it faster.
Zach said, "Hey guys, I recently made the leap to the current generation of consoles by buying a PS4. Sorry about that. You made a big mistake. No, PS4 is fine. I picked up Nier Automata and am enjoying that, but I've mostly ignored this generation of games because I couldn't play them. What games do you feel are emblematic of the current gen? What games will make a past gen player say, 'Now this is next gen'?"
Oh, Red Dead Redemption 2.
I fucking knew. I knew you were gonna say that.
Let's see.
It's kind of a tough
That's
one
a
because
super
there's
tough question because it
the jump from last gen to this current gen has been the smallest leap, both in terms of technology and game design, that there's probably ever been.
yeah. Yeah. I just played Forza Horizon 4. That game's sick. Forza Horizon 4 is sick.
Well, that's not on PS4.
It's not?
unfortunately.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. How about Halo 5?
No.
Listen, this is tough.
How about Gears of War?
Oh, that new
probably.
Spider-Man game's
Gears
on
5
PS4.
coming
That
out.
game's sick.
Yo, that game
That
is
game's
sick.
fucking sick, man.
Yeah, you should play
You should play Spider-Man. You should listen to our podcast where we complained about it for 2 hours, but you should also still play it because it's really
you should
good.
Still play it. It's very good.
Um,
Actually, I have my Game of the Year notes here, so maybe I'll peek in on these ones. I mean, I know you just bought a PS4, but you could also buy a PSVR for that PS4. That's pretty fucking next gen.
yeah, that's the way to. I don't know if it's emblematic of this generation. I mean,
I think VR is emblematic of this generation.
playing.
Because it's the generation when VR
Here's the
came
thing:
out.
playing VR and then not knowing anyone else who has a VR thing. That's emblematic of this generation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we might have to just go like, what are the best games from this generation so far? Because I don't know that there are really any games that are emblematic of this generation. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm trying, like, there's just...
Well, also,
I can't think of a game that you'll play it and be like, wow, couldn't play this on my 360
I mean, here's
or
an
my
answer.
PS3.
Here's an answer of something that's emblematic of this generation is No Man's Sky. Is emblematic, I think, of this generation. A big open world explore game with, I think, a non-traditional plot that is procedurally generated. I think that is something that's emblematic of this generation.
Yeah, I would say so. That makes sense. I don't know that I would wholeheartedly recommend No Man's Sky, but
I wouldn't Yeah, at this point, I definitely think there's enough there, especially if you haven't played it before and aren't confused about all the big weird changes, that No Man's Sky is worth whatever they're charging for it right now.
You know what?
The problem is that
Shadow of Mordor with the Nemesis system. That was like Shadow of Mordor was like the first like big game release.
You're talking
that
about the Mind
wasn't
Slave
on.
game.
What?
Mind Slave game?
No, I think the Mind Slaves are in the second one.
Isn't that one a Mind Slave one too? Aren't they both Mind Slave games?
You mean that you take control of other people's minds and force them to do things? Oh, yeah, I guess there is mind slaving in the first one. It's still good. I mean, they're orcs. It's not like they're people.
Yeah. Hey, Kyle's changing his name to Fallout 76. Oh.
Yeah. Go play Fallout 76. That's really emblematic of this generation.
Let's see.
You might like a Shadow of Mordor. Wolfenstein 1 and 2 have a really good story, and you get to shoot people.
Yeah. Oh, and those
Doom
people
2016
are Nazis,
kicks ass.
Is the big thing.
Those people are Nazis. Doom 2016 doesn't have any Nazis, but it's still very fun.
Yeah. It does have demons and is at least nominally anti-capitalist.
Yeah.
Another sort of disappointing answer from Victor, but it is true. Fortnite is emblematic of this generation. Yep, that's one.
Yeah, play Fortnite. It's free.
It's free.
You know what? Fucking Stardew Valley is a hot-ass PS4 game. I mean, it's on everything else, but it's great. That's
the thing about this generation. The thing that's emblematic. This is what I was trying to say before, but you interrupted me 3 times. If we're keeping track, I know that you like to keep track of that. The thing about this generation is that a lot of the things that are emblematic of them, the thing that's emblematic of this generation is that, like, the emblematic games aren't the biggest, most expensive, best-looking games anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's something that's emblematic about. Like, earlier someone said Undertale, which is funny. I haven't played the game. I'm sure it's great. Everybody loves it. But, like, yeah, that's a game that's emblematic of this generation.
But, yeah, like, this person says, because I'm thinking, like, Undertale is a game that was, like, $10 on PC like years ago, but they are saying that they have not paid attention to video games so far this generation. So, like, if you haven't heard of Undertale, go check out Undertale. And Stardew Valley is it is a Harvest Moon clone that is
so
better
good.
than Harvest Moon ever was.
It's really, really excellent.
No reason to ever play a Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons game ever again because Stardew Valley beat them.
Any last picks for emblematic games? Maybe a Soulsy game.
Oh yeah.
That's
Dark
super
Souls.
Emblematic, I think, of this generation. Dark Souls and Demon Souls was last generation, but, like, if this person happened to spend years not playing any video games, they maybe didn't play any of those either.
Check out Bloodborne. Dark Souls 1 or Bloodborne. Those are my 2 recs. Bloodborne is a PS4 exclusive, so you definitely haven't played it before if you didn't have a PS4 till now.
Yeah, that's one. Bloodborne's one. I'm trying. Okay. Yeah, I think that's. I don't really have anything else. Emblematic is a tough one.
I dropped that a little bit for my recommendations. I'm just trying to think of what's hot on the PS4.
Phantom Pain is sick. That's a sick game.
Oh
Metal Gear Solid 5 is fucking sick.
Yeah, that game's really good.
Emblematic, maybe.
And this is the opposite. This is, like, not emblematic of this generation at all because these are old games. But the Crash remake trilogy and the Spyro remake trilogy are both really great.
Yeah. Rocket League, emblematic, I think.
Oh, Rocket League is sick, yeah.
And I think is emblematic in 2 ways, in that it was massively popular and also is one of these games that just kind of didn't happen on console in other generations.
Yeah.
Like the trend started for sure with, like, Xbox Arcade.
I think it like Rocket League, I think, taps into the new vein in the gaming culture that is, like, specifically oriented around, like, esports, like, competition games.
But I also think it's around like sub $60, like sub full price. It was like sub full price.
Well,
not
the way it really took off was that
like just games that are fun that don't have to look expensive because they weren't expensive.
Though, I mean, Rocket League looks great. It looks. I would say it looks more expensive than it.
But
was,
but it looks expensive. But there's 3 things in it. There's, like, the cars and the ball. You know.
Yeah, and you're right. That is probably emblematic of this generation. Is like a smaller game that does one thing really, really well, And to tie it into another thing that's emblematic of this generation is the way Rocket League really took off was when it was free on PlayStation Plus. And that's a big thing about this generation is games that are being given away for free. Hey, there's nothing wrong with the industry, guys. Everything's great.
Yeah.
We're just giving away all the games for free.
This brand new game is free for a month. For the first month.
All right, I think we're good.
Yeah. Boy,
Keith, are we good?
Any closing thoughts? Video games are in a bad place, I think. As an industry, I think it's never been more fun to play video games.
It's never been more fun to play video games. I've been playing Spyro 1 in the Spyro trilogy, and it's very good.
Do you know what the video game industry is like? It's like someone who's been awake for so long that they feel like they're not tired. And everyone is like, dude, you have to sleep. And they're like, no, I've got like another 5 or 6 hours. I'm not even feeling tired right now. And like, that's the video game industry. And then like, dude, like, Tucker, if you don't calm down, you're going to die.
Well, you know what I think the video game industry is like? Well, I think if you're a person that's been paying this close attention to video games for as long as you and I have, it's sort of like if you were on some kind of factory assembly line and the machines are going all over the place and things are moving around and there's weird colored pastes over here and then all of a sudden you're baked inside a cheese puff.
Video games is like accidentally being baked inside a cheese puff. Okay, good night, everybody. You can go to contentburger.biz to support the show. You can send an email to runbuttonpodcast@gmail.com with podcast somewhere in the title, in the subject. Doesn't have to be the first word. It can be anywhere in there.
And I can't stress this enough, guys. This is the last thing I'm going to say on the subject. Do not get sealed inside a Handy Snacks pudding cup. Don't let it happen.
Don't let it happen to you, too.